Appreciate y'all coming tonight. Welcome. My name's Shannon Whitfield. I'm Sub-Commissioner of Walker County, and we're so excited for you to be here. We had a great crowd on Monday night when we did this presentation. We had, I think, just a little over 100 people here the other night, so we may have a few more come in tonight. So, hoping for a great crowd. It's very exciting to me when I see this amount of people that takes a strong interest in what happens with our county and with our local government. It'd be very sad to put these type of things together and nobody show up or only have a handful of people to attend. So it's very rewarding to us that this many people would take the time and interest to want to come out and learn more about the project. One of the things that I always try to do in our meetings is to reflect and remind everyone the freedoms that we have being here in America and being citizens, and the privileges that many folks have paid a great sacrifice for to give us these freedoms. One of being is having an open prayer and also having the pledge to the flag. So if you'll join me at this time, I'll lead us in a prayer. And as soon as we pray, we'll stand and give the pledge to the flag. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this great day. Lord, just thank you for the great weather that you've provided for us today. Lord, just thank you for a great crowd. It's so encouraging to me to see this many people want to come out and get involved in their community and learn more about this project. Lord, just be with us tonight as we travel to and from this event. Lord, just keep us safe. And Lord, we pray that everything that's done here tonight will be to honor and glorify you. And Lord, again, just thank you for all that you do for us. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. You'll please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, kind of go over our agenda here tonight. We're going to let Dwayne Horton come up in just a moment. He's from the development group, and let him go through his presentation. Once he finishes, we'll take maybe just about a 5-minute stretch break, or if you need to go to the restroom. So we'll take about 5 minutes there as we change over our technology and put up our other slide presentation. And then I'll go through some of the financial impacts, some of the financial impacts for the county. And then once we get through with that, we'll open up the floor for questions, and we'll give everyone an opportunity to ask any questions and or maybe just any public comments. You may not have a question, but you may have something that you would like to say in reference to this project. So everything that we're doing here tonight is to talk about this project and anything in and around that community. So any other items of business related to the county, you can come join us tomorrow night down at the Commissioner's office at 6:30. We have our open Commissioners meeting. And we also, at the end of that meeting, will have a time for public comment and discussion. So that's on Duke Street, right next door to the courthouse, and those meetings start the second and fourth Thursday every month at 6:30. So before we get over to Dwayne, I want to introduce Robert Wardlaw. And Robert's going to talk to you for a minute about the role of the Walker County Development Authority. And so Robert has been a very big part of helping bring this project to this point. Robert is the chairman of the Walker County Development Authority. Robert brought him and got him engaged in this back in February of this year. And Robert he's got a lot of experience in business and development, and he'll talk to you a little bit about that. But one of the things that Robert does is Robert does a lot of business consulting across the Southeast. And so he brings a lot of knowledge and experience and help to our county that he doesn't charge for. He does that completely free. He doesn't take any work or business here locally, so he doesn't ever have any conflicts of interest. But much of the help and knowledge he brings to the table, he goes to other markets and does that for income. So he's a great asset, he's a great friend, and I very much have enjoyed working with him. Learned a lot from Robert. And so this time, if y'all welcome Robert Wardall, let him speak for a moment.
Thank you and good evening. I want to first of all say it's just great to see people engaged to come out, and like Shannon said, we had over 100 people in this room Monday night. Looks like maybe about half that or a little more tonight. But it's great to see people be engaged. I want to take just a minute and tell you a little bit about me, and then I want to talk a little bit about the Development Authority. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to say, I want to get in the frame of mind of what I would be thinking if I were in your chair. And who is this guy and what is this Development Authority I hear about? Because I think a lot of people don't know what the Development Authority is, and certainly don't know what it does. So I'm Robert Wardall. My family's been here for at least 6 generations, maybe more than that. We're all from here. I had 2 or 3 people that I met beforehand say, "Are you the surveyor?" No, that's Charles Wardlaw, perhaps a 3rd or 4th cousin, but a good fella. My family is the Coca-Cola bottlers from Lafayette. That's what we have done since 1912. I worked in that environment as a boy, and up until roughly in 1997, when we sold the Coca-Cola company in Lafayette, we sold it to Chattanooga Coke. And at that time, I went to work for the Coca-Cola company and went into different markets around the United States, integrating when Big Coke would buy out other locations throughout the country. And I went there to help facilitate that process and bring the different interests together for the good of everyone. Just briefly, that includes the Atlanta market, and then on to Corpus Christi and San Antonio, Texas, and Austin, and then part of the Dallas market, Montgomery, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi, the Louisiana market with New Orleans and other places. Along the lines of what I would be wanting to know if I were you, I'm going to go ahead and try to answer those, and I hope these answers are appropriate to the questions you would have. Number one is, what, on a project of this scale, what does that guy stand to gain? The answer to that is nothing except to help my community. I don't get paid for anything at all. I do not own any property in or around that resort anywhere on the mountain or anywhere close, even in the valley. I have no property there. I think the commissioner mentioned I do work as a business consultant, but for the time that I'm involved with this Development Authority, I do not accept any jobs of any kind whatsoever in Walker County, as I would view it as almost an automatic conflict to do so. It doesn't have to be, but I think it could be. When you're trying to incentivize businesses to invest here, and then think how you would feel if all of a sudden you saw that I had just signed a consulting contract with the company we just brought in. I know what I would think. So we don't do that. I want to talk to you about the Development Authority. The Walker County Development Authority is a constitutional authority that was established in this county in 1964. It's a legislative act that the state creates authorities in different parts of all over the country, but I'm talking right now about Georgia. In 1964, the Walker County Development Authority was established, And the purpose of a development authority is to recruit and retain industry to the tax revenue benefit of citizens within the community. That's the purpose of the development authority. And that development authority has certain rights, lawful rights to take actions that enable the recruitment of business. For instance, an opportunity like this one that you're going to hear about tonight, where somebody has $100+ million and they're trying to decide where they want to invest it. In each community, hopefully, would have someone there to advocate on their behalf and say, bring it here, we need it. Your development authority is made up of 6 board members. And I want to tell you what composes that board. It is independent from the county. I have heard several people have said to me over the last couple of weeks, well, it's a part of Walker County. No, the development authority is not part of Walker County. And no one within the development authority works for the county, except for the commissioner, and I'll explain that in just a moment. The development authority is appointed, but not by the commissioner. Among that 6-person board, you have one appointment from the mayor and council of the city of Lafayette. Lafayette gets to choose one person to be on this board. And in this case, that's me. The city of Lafayette, the mayor and council asked me to serve as Lafayette's appointment to the good of the county. The city of Chickamauga gets one appointment. The mayor and council get to choose one person. I think Evan Parrish is here. There's Evan back there. Evan is the city of Chickamauga's appointment. The city of Rossville gets one appointment. That's Mr. Jim Cole. And Walker County itself gets to make one appointment. Traditionally, the commissioner serves in that spot. Ms. Heiskell did before in the past administration, and Commissioner Whitfield serves for the county on the Development Authority today. And there are 2 at-large appointments available. One today is vacant and the other is occupied by Mr. Mark Chandler. So I hope that helps to get some feel or understanding of what makes up that board. To address a few other things that I hear quite a bit are, well, the board does the bidding of the commissioner. That is absolutely not true. And I mean this with all due respect, what I'm about to say, and I don't want you to take this wrong, but the past administration would certainly vouch for what I'm about to say, and the current administration will vouch as well. Certainly from my part, if it's a bad deal, the answer is no. It was before, and quite honestly, I mean, if a bad deal gets presented today, the answer would be no from your development authority. You're not, especially right now when it comes to spending money that we do not have. So I do mean that respectfully. I've found the commissioner, his integrity to be beyond reproach so far.
Jury's still out.
Mr. Horton and his team, I met in February. Now, the commissioner is going to tell you when he met them and under what circumstances. I came into this project through meeting Mr. Horton in February, the last week of January or the first week of February of this year, when this opportunity came into place as a possibility. And say, on a deal like this, the commissioner could never make this deal happen by himself. The development authority can't make it happen by themselves, nor can either of those two make it happen without, in this case, Senator Mullis. I don't know how many of you know Jeff Mullis, but, you know, we have a real champ right there for our area. This isn't a political speech. I mean, in a practical sense, that individual works for us and brings things here. And without him, we would not be close to the point where we are. We couldn't do it, as you'll learn later. So I hope that brings some clarity to the role of the Development Authority. And when, after the two presentations have been completed, we're going to have question and answer time for as long as you want to be here. The three of us are going to come back up and we'll answer any questions, and I'll be glad to do so then. I'm honored to serve you, and I thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Robert, for those comments and sharing with everyone how the Development Authority is structured. I think it's very important for everybody to know and understand and have a feeling of confidence that projects like this is just not done by the sole commissioner. There's a lot that goes into this with a project of this size, with collaboration from the state, collaboration with the Development Authority and the Commissioner's Office, and obviously the developer of the project. Speaking of which, I met Dwayne Horton several years ago on a personal note, and had lost contact with him over time, run into him occasionally, see him out riding his bicycle and different things over time. But when I entered into the election, he contacted me. He said, "Hey, I've got something I want to talk to you about and meet with you with, and just get your opinion and see if you think it's something that has any value of interest." So I met with him back early on, and he showed me a great deal of information, and I wanted to know a lot of the details. And I got very excited about this project opportunity for our county because I could see the benefits that it would bring. But, you know, we had to keep that confidential and didn't want that to become a part of the campaign or a distraction, and didn't even know at that point in time who would actually win the election. So we just kept that very quiet, kept it to myself, and didn't share that. So once the first year came around, that's when Dwayne contacted me and said, "Hey, things are moving forward with us. We want to get back together, get the county attorney involved, get the Development Authority involved." And so we've spent a lot of time together over the last 5 or 6 months working this opportunity for this county. And through this process, I've gained a lot of respect for Dwayne as a person, as a family man, and what he stands for and his values. And most importantly, you know, I trust Dwayne, and I trust his team members and the board members that I've been able to get to know. And anytime you have a business relationship, that trust is very important and is very key to being successful in anything that you're working on. And so if we had someone that was trying to develop something we didn't feel like we could trust, I wouldn't have any interest in trying to move something forward, because we've got to create a win-win situation for both the developers and the investors, but also for the citizens of Walker County and also the people visiting our community going forward. So it's very important that we have that solid foundation of trust so we build and win together as the future continues. So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Dwayne Horton. He's going to come and give a presentation to you. If you'll hold your questions until after we all get through, I'll be back up after his presentation and we'll go through some Q&A. So Dwayne Horton.
Can you hear me without me being at the microphone? Very well. In the back? Can you hear fine? Okay. Thank you. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here to share. You will notice there's been a lot of questions. There's a lot to this project. There's a lot to share. I don't want anybody to be able to leave this place and say that we didn't share or you had questions that went unanswered. But we're just going to dig straight into this project and presentation, and then we can follow up with questions after. So the first things, we'll give you an outline of what all we're going to cover. We'll go through the introductions. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and our company. Walker County, I want to give some thoughts, my perspective as a private investor and other private investors looking at Walker County. Talk about the location itself that the project's going to go on. I'll give you a project description and components, talk about the team that is working together and pulling this together, go through the benefits of that. We're going to get to why the economic development incentives are necessary for this. Then we're going to talk about the feasibility and the success, why the project's going to be a success. And we'll have the county's presentation, then we'll come back for discussion and questions. Before we get to this, though, I do want to share. I'll share a little bit more. I'm from Walker County, and this is our pledge to you. This is separate from the county. This is my pledge to you, from our company to you. If you ever hear anything different than this, come to us, verify it. Don't believe what you're reading. We'll prove it. But these two things that we're about to show you, in addition to being thoughtful in other matters, this is an absolute pledge on two parts. So first, absolutely no existing tax revenues will be used by City and Plain Company or even requested from Walker County to build this project. We're not going to ask for it. We haven't asked for it. It's been made very clear, even if we did ask for it, we weren't going to get it. Everybody's crystal clear on that point, and that is not going to happen. The second is no financial guarantee or obligation of repayment will be provided by Walker County or request from City and Plain Company for the project. And just, I've read a couple posts, but that even applies to the Walker County Development Authority. They are separate. I probably should have put both of them in this case, but that applies to both of them as they are separate, as Mr. Wardball shared. But these are absolute pledges. It's not going to happen. If you see something different in this presentation that makes you think differently, please ask the question. We'll clarify. Next thing I want to talk about real quick before we get into this project is, you've heard about this being the same old rehash project or something different. It is not. The project that you're aware of in the past was a project concept that was taken from our efforts. The one that was put out in the press in 2010 was a competing effort that people associated loosely on the outside, not our core group of investors or a core group of people, on the outside that were trying to help get this project moving forward, took the project and developed a competing project. At that point in time, we had full funding on our project for BB&T, and the same thing that was happening. The only difference between that pledge and what we showed you then, there was no guarantee from the county. There was nothing coming from the county. There was at that one point in time about $2 or $3 million of infrastructure that was going to come from the county at that point in time. But even in this one, there's nothing coming from the county. It's all privately funded. But back then, we had BB&T, Capital Markets Group, utilizing recovery zone bond and Build America bonds to build this project. That was a federal incentive that's no longer available. We had Starwood. I don't know how many of you are aware of Starwood. Starwood owns Weston, they own Sheraton, they own the Loft, they own St. Regis Hotels. They also own a brand called Luxury Collection. This is a coveted brand. It's not something you can just hand out. It's not something you just walk in and get. I wasn't, in full disclosure, I wasn't even aware it was a brand because of how exclusive it is. I mean, not a brand, but a flag of theirs. They offered it to us because of the project that we had and the location that we were planning on putting it in. But the last time we were doing this project, we had a fully executed franchise agreement from Starwood to build this project. Now, we had to negotiate a termination of that because the other project received the support of the county administration at that point in time, and there was nothing we could do because the federal incentives expired at the end of 2010. The previous developer that had Canyon Ridge that we were trying to work with, he was very over leveraged. I think he said in trial that he had $40 to $50 million in debt when he filed for bankruptcy that he was on the hook for. We ended up, because of how bad the deal was that went down, and because of how many, just what happened, the jury, it ended up being one of the largest jury awards ever in Hamilton County. It was the largest and the longest trial. It was 6 going on 7 weeks. I was personally on the witness stand for 10 days, 10 different days for that trial. If you condensed it together, it was 8 solid days of trial testimony I had. We had to prove this project. We had to prove that we had financing. We had to prove that we were shovel ready. We had to prove we had contracts and everything else for a jury to sit there, of your peers in this area, to sit there and watch and make this decision, come to the conclusion that we really had a project that would have been successful, and that competing project was the only reason it kept us from doing it. We didn't go to trial because we wanted to go to trial. We didn't get anything other than our money back. We didn't make any money off of it. Especially after paying the legal fees associated with it. But after the acts had happened the last time around, I went to 10 to 12 different attorneys that were friends of mine or associates in the Chattanooga area that I knew were not going to take this case. They all recommended that we did not have a choice in this matter because of how many people were relying on us, that we had to go forward with the trial. I even went to elders in our church and talked to them in a session meeting, and they said the same thing. So talked to friends, our partners, and everybody made this decision collectively that this was the right thing to do. We had a law firm come in from Dallas, Texas, because of how unique this case was. They took it on a full contingency and won this trial with us. Moving on. So we're going to get back to this real quick. Absolutely, this project, no risk to the county, no debt to the county. Privately, taking 100% of the risk, 100% of the debt. Go on. So introductions, a little bit about myself. So I was born and raised in Walker County, born at Hutchinson Hospital. I attended school at Cedar Grove, sorry about that, but at Cedar Grove Elementary until they closed it down. I then went to Osborne, the decision that was not mine. I was only in 4th grade. But my stepfather and mother ended up sending me to Osborne, which was outside of our district. Over halfway through the year, they realized that's not the district I should have been in, so they sent me to Chattanooga Valley. I grew up, at this point in time I hadn't moved once, in 3 different schools. But I grew up just near Bohannon's grocer out on 193, just not far after you go through the railroad tracks, the crossroads of 136 and 193. In 6th grade, I ended up moving over near Boss Road, back into Chickamauga. That was a Kensington address at the time. Went to Palm Springs Middle School, and then I'd have gone back to Chattanooga Valley, but Ridgeland opened in '89, and my freshman year was at Ridgeland. So K through 12 in Walker County. Well, at the same time, I worked at Rock City. I worked on farms here in Walker County. So I grew up looking at this point that we're talking about, in the amount that we're looking at working on it. Ended up attending Georgia Tech, have a bachelor's of science degree in construction management. Ended up coming back. When I left, I thought I wasn't going to come back, but I realized how much I love this place and how much it meant to me. I came back soon after graduating. I started, was one of the owners that started Gentech Construction. It's been a very successful construction company in Chattanooga, Tennessee, based, but we have more office employees that live in Walker County than any other county in the area. So we still home to me. President of Cedar Plan Company and Cedar Plan Investments. So Cedar Plan Company is the development company that I'm president of. But there's a completely separate company called Scenic Lane Investments that is investor group. We probably have 50 different investors now around the area, some out of state even, that invest and help support us to start these projects. So Scenic Lane Company. Scenic Lane Company is the development company. It's a Chattanooga-based land development company that partners with strategic partners to do vertical development. So I want to make it very clear. We are land developers. We put together master plans. We figure out how to get the infrastructure, how to get the land assembled and overcome all the issues that go along with land development. And then we partner with strategic expert partners to do the vertical development, either directly with us or sometimes we'll just sell the land directly to them. In this case, we're not selling the land. we're bringing them in as a partner on this project. Focused on development in East Tennessee, Northwest Georgia. Currently, we're engaged in projects that at full completion on the land development will be over $500 million of work that we're already engaged in. The village of Oak Brook is one. It's out along East Brainerd. That up there is East Brainerd Road. It's the fastest growing area in Hamilton County according to a new study that was just completed. It's a 140 acre site. By the way, we conserved 100 acres on this site as well. We built this bridge, handed over to the county, had to go through TVA, TDOT on this one. Number of other ones. It's rezoned for commercial in the front. We're starting on the commercial part right now as we speak. Hill Oaks Farm is in Hickson. It's off Highway 153. It's 190 acres or so development. It's 280 apartment units that are going in right now, being built. They'll open this fall. There's up to 500,000 square feet of retail area that we're working on. We got corporate office space. We're meeting with somebody about that tomorrow, but it's in the middle of construction right now. And everything's progressing nicely on that project. Brownwood is a development on Dade County, on Lookout Mountain in Dade County. So this is on the other side of the mountain. It's been a very successful project. It has single-family residential in this one, and it also has an assisted living facility up on Lookout Mountain, the first one on Lookout Mountain. They were projecting a year and a half to fill up, and they fill up in a little over 6 months. All the assisted living rooms were taken. If you haven't been there and you're not aware of it, I'd encourage you to go visit it. It's a great project. We're very proud of it with views out to the west. Seeing Citrus Falls. This is another property that we haven't done any development on it at this time, but this is right across the street and walk from the property that we Canyon Ridge in Walker County. There's a waterfall here that very few people know about. That's nearly the size, if not even larger possibly, than Cloudland Canyon waterfall. And this, this is something that we can decide to do something with as well. That is, again, just outside of Walker County. And then we have Canyon Ridge Resort, which is what we're here today about. So this is something that was one of the first projects that really started scenic land. We've moved on and done the other ones as well, but this is one of the things that kick-started Scenic Land Company as a whole. This is where my passion is. I've got a board that I have to report to. You've heard about the board for the Development Authority. I have to go convince a board to release money or give me the even time to spend the time, money and energy to put these projects together. And because of my passion and desire to make an investment in Walker County, which is very deserving at this location as well, they allowed that to happen. So let's get in. Oh, one more thing. We do have other opportunities. I will say there's been questions about the incentives. We'll get into why they're needed specifically, but I have heard that people are thinking, why are you going to give them incentives when they already own the property? Well, we don't own all the property we need yet. We own just enough to get a strategic hold. In addition, when the trial ended and our investors got their money back and they already have a lot of other projects going elsewhere, I've had to ask them to reconsider looking at Canyon Ridge. And there's a number of things that had to happen for that to occur. The HOA, that the Canyon Ridge community themselves had to agree that they wanted to do this project. We had 2 meetings. One meeting was in January 28th, right before I met Robert Wardlaw. And we met with the community and we said, look, we don't have any approval, but this has to start with you. My investors are interested. I've talked to the commissioner, and when I talked to the commissioner, it wasn't putting a plan together. There was a lot of work to do. I just went to him and said, if this is not a project, if this is a project you're going to say no to out of the gates and not even give it the light of day, I just want to know now so we're not spending the time and money working on this. There was no plans decided, nothing decided on how it was going to be structured or anything else. And the only response was, I'm interested, I'm not going to say no, is what I heard. At this point in time, not that I'm not going to say no, I'm not saying no today, go bring me more. And I said, okay. So we went and worked on this for about a year and a half or so, brought it back, and one of the first things that had to happen was I had to have an agreement from the person that owned the rest of the land in Canyon Ridge. We got that agreement almost a little over a year ago today. we ended up meeting with the HOA, and we told the HOA, if you want to do this, you need to double your taxes, basically. Double your property taxes, not just the county portion, but the school portion too. Take that money and allow that money to be reinvested in this project to go forward. The first meeting we had, at the end of the presentation, we asked how many wanted to do it, raise their hands. Everyone raised their hands. Some people raised both hands. We said, well, that was encouraging, so we left. We came back, we did some more work, they had some questions. We came back and we presented, we said, okay, we now need you to participate and sign on the dotted line that you want this. We prepared a petition that petitions the commissioner to double your taxes if you want to move forward. This was probably sometime in April. And the commissioner was there at this meeting. It was not at the first meeting. We had our presentation again. We asked, somebody asked me how many people need to support this, and I said we need 100% support. We need everybody to support this today because this is bigger than just a majority. We want everyone on this. 74 people signed in, 74 people signed the petition, and you got to understand these are people that came up from all over the place, traveled in for this meeting and the first meeting too. So 74 signed it, and we had that petition. We then had to go to the state of Georgia, and we talked to them about a tourism bill. So the state of Georgia, independent of us, has created a tourism act that gives incentives to bring tourism projects to the state of Georgia. We'll talk about why that's important on this one and what it's done and how we qualify. But they're already giving this money to other parts of the state of Georgia. This isn't something that they created for us, a special interest. This was something that was created and helps make up for those federal incentives that are no longer available. But with all that said, if I didn't put all of this together, not I put it together, but if all this didn't come together, the investors were not going to allow me to move forward on this project. That's now happened. We now have every piece that we need to have together. Absent, which we had last time, the financing, but we're working on that and already have people that have started the underwriting process. But we do have other opportunities. The investors had already donated, before I could do all this, the investors decided to donate half of the land that we have to a trust in the area. They were ready to donate the rest of it to the trust if that's what was best. This project cannot move forward without the incentives. It does not make sense to move forward without the incentives, and you'll understand why. It's not so the investors can make more money. There's other things that they're willing to front that they need reimbursed on. So Walker County, let's talk about this. And I want to be clear, I'm not a consultant. I'm from here, but this is how, as an eyes of a private investor, I'm looking at Walker County. So the strengths of Walker County, you've got wonderful natural beauty and topography. You've got the Zond Wildlife Management Area, Chickamauga Park, Crawford Pigeon Mountain, Little Lake Land Trust. You've got a lot of preserved land, a lot of natural beauty. I grew up here, I camped here, worked on the farm, looked at it. I don't want to mess it up. I just want to enhance it so that it's helping generate revenues and jobs to help pay for the roads that run through all of that, as well as the community around it. You have proximity to and accessibility from many major markets. Within a 2-hour drive, you have nearly 14 million people. There's nowhere else in the Southeast that can say that. That is a huge deal. You also have 28 Fortune 500 companies, not counting the private companies like Pilot and Life Care Centers of America or Volkswagen that moved here but not headquartered here. It's not even counting them. I'm talking about national Fortune 500 companies that have their headquarters in that 2-hour radius. It may be 2 hours and 10 minutes, but generally 2-hour radius of Nashville, Knoxville, Birmingham, and Atlanta, Huntsville and Chattanooga in addition, are within a 2-hour driving distance of this location. Nowhere else in the Southeast do you have that. Nowhere. You have existing tourism destinations that are already here. I don't have to make up a Disney World. I don't have to make an amusement park for people to come. You have natural beauty, natural assets. I believe one reason Lookout Mountain hasn't been developed more is because part of it's in Tennessee, and then the rest of it's divided between Walker and Dade, and neither, in the past, the administrations haven't been able to get together to figure out how can we work together to make this something that works for both of us. Because if one invested, well, it's going to benefit the other. Well, if the other invested, it's going to benefit the other. And so it's just been left in its state that it is now. You also have competitively low sales tax compared to Tennessee. So if you want to have a hotel night, you're at 7% for a hotel room. They're at 9.25%. It is an advantage and it helps. You also have a willing workforce. The last numbers I saw, half of the workforce in Walker County has to go outside the county to work. I don't know if that's true today. I'm not saying it is, but that's what I've heard. And somebody else can check on that, but it came from a credible source definitely. So weaknesses, and again, this isn't, I don't want you to take this as bad as I'm down. These are realities. Anytime you do anything, you have to measure your strengths and weaknesses. And this is from my investor eyes looking in. The geography and topography cause a little bit of issues for convenience type work. If you want retail, it's hard. Plus, you have no direct access to interstates. You're surrounded by them. You got 75 over in Catoosa and 59 over there and 24 up above you, but they don't run through here. That is a weakness for certain industries, but not necessarily what we're doing. You got limited rail access because of the same topography. All the mountains, you can't get through rail through. You may have some spurs, but you don't have that. We don't have that. No direct access to navigable waters, and the obvious is a whole lot of debt. So other communities can spend the industrial parks. They can build parks for Costco. They can do parks for Volkswagen and recruit these places. Those type of businesses require. So very quickly, if you look at retail, logistics, manufacturing services, you've got, in a couple of you have a couple of strengths, but compared to the other counties around you, you are at a competitive disadvantage when you just show up at the door. And again, I'm not a consultant for you. This is just how we're looking at it. When my investors look at this, where do we want to invest in money in other counties? This is what they're looking at. But when it comes to tourism, that the state of Georgia so desperately wants that they can put together an act to incentivize it, you have limited access. Now, I've heard people criticize this. People don't want to hop off an interstate and be at a resort. They want a little bit of a drive. And you got the perfect, I said the other night, for the first time, it's like Goldilocks. I mean, it's just right. It's not too far. It's not too close to the interstates. It's just perfect. You don't have an interstate connection, but you're close enough to them that it's perfect. You don't have through rail. No one wants to hear rail cars going by their hotel resort in the middle of the night or some other time. Low sales tax. Low wages. I want to change that. And I think you'll see how we're going to do that. But right now, that helps bring these kind of tourism dollars in this type of project in the beginning, but we don't want to keep those wages low. We want to help raise them, and you'll see that as well. The terrain is an advantage. People don't want to just be on another flat piece of property, having the mountain, and there's limited development, especially in this location where this beautiful cove is. So much of that's in conservation easement, so much of it's land trust. To have all of that natural beauty, to see the eagles soaring, and the peaceful environment that this is in, it's really a breathtaking place. So existing tourism assets that you already have, Lookout Mountain as a whole, on that you have Rock City. If somebody comes to Rock City, not anywhere for them to stay. There's a lot of visitors that are going to come to Rock City and not stay at this resort. But at the same time, if we can capture just a fraction of those, or we can bring people here that will bring more visitors to Rock City, we want to help enhance what Walker County already has. Now, Cloud Canyon is not Dade County, but if we put a project on the mountain, there's a lot of visitors that come to Dade County. We're trying to get the statistics and the numbers on that, but I've heard it's some crazy numbers I don't even want to guess at that bring dollars to this area that we can help capture. You got the Louisville Lake Land Trust, which was a private effort to conserve land on the mountain. Chickamauga National Battlefield, which you share with Catoosa as well. Proctor Pigeon Mountain Wildlife Management Area. If you're not familiar with this is a treasure in the southeast. It's a gem. You got caving, spelunking, climbing, horseback riding, nature, beauty trails, botanicals. And then you also have the Great Eastern Trail, which is an alternative to the Appalachian Trail that runs right through this area. A lot of people hike the Appalachian, but it takes so long, they've developed this alternative trail that people can do in segments. And we're on one of those segments that if somebody wanted to benefit from, and there's the other part of this is there's a lot of marketing dollars going into that. And for us to be able to say that we're on that, we're picking up free marketing that help bring Walker County to the table as well. So the map to kind of show you strategic, obviously there's Atlanta here as well. But look at the number of out-of-states and out-of-markets that we can draw on to bring dollars to Walker County. I don't want to just develop something for Walker County people just to spend more money in Walker County. My passion is to bring something in that people can come and visit, leave money here, and go back home, and their money's here. And we're creating jobs so that when our kids grow up, I didn't have the opportunity to work in Walker County. To have an opportunity for nice paying jobs and an opportunity to climb a ladder here in Walker County and to grow from there is an advantage too. So because of this location and everything else, Ballard Hospitality, you'll learn about them in a minute, has projected that 71% of the revenues are going to come from out of state. So if that much is coming from out of state, you can imagine how much, with Atlanta being down there, is coming from outside of Walker County. It's just about all of it. So now with that said, we encourage anyone from Walker County to come there. We don't have the program put together, but we're going to have special rates and special incentives and do everything we can to help with that. But at the end of the day, it has to be sustainable to create the project revenue and create the jobs. So if you look around the whole Southeast, here's some comparative resorts. So each one of these, here's Atlanta, there's Birmingham, there's Nashville, there's Knoxville. Kind of get a little over 2-hour circle drawn around those, and you see that you have these different products. I don't even compare ourselves really comparable to the Opryland Resort. We're something completely different, but they do hold conferences, they do have hotel rooms, so it was part of what the professionals put on there. But outside of that, there's nothing that really supports the Nashville market, and if you don't know how fast Nashville's growing, it's rather tremendous. So if you look at all of these 2-hour radiuses and all of these projects that are supported, we're the only one that's located within a 2-hour driving distance of all of those markets. That's a relatively easy drive, and then we're close to Chattanooga as well. Go back one second. I will add, if you're not familiar with Reynolds Plantation, which is a good way from Atlanta and practically only supported by the Atlanta market within that distance, Greene County was I heard the poorest county in all of Walker County, and they have a brown lake there. They brought in a branded hotel, conference center resort, and the place is transformed into a true destination that people don't just come from Atlanta to. People from Chattanooga go down, and all over the Southeast and nation go to visit this location. You can look it up. Keep going. I don't have my clicker today, so I apologize. So let's talk about what Canyon Ridge Resort is. Now this is a technical term, we didn't make this up, something in industry, but this is an upper upscale / luxury major branded mountaintop resort. We don't know another one in the Southeast. You got the Grove part, but it's at the bottom of the mountain. We do not know another location in the whole Southeast that is on top of a mountain that's major branded and has what we have here. The brand's important because of people being able to redeem their points that they travel, and we'll talk about that later as well. It's bordered by 2 states. It's within 20, I need to correct this, I'd say within 30 minutes of 3 interstates. Still relatively close. It's the most westerly mountain location in the eastern United States. Yes, there's mountains a little to Alabama, a little bit further west, but they lose their brow line and they start to break up, and they don't have the drama that this one has, the scenic views that this location has, or even the accessibility. We're looking at 180 hotel rooms with full-service conference and meeting space. There'll be golf course and other things. We'll talk about other components. Dramatic mountaintop golf course. Again, to have a golf course within a mountain is one thing. To have it actually on top of the mountain that's already there. Plus, we're the only resort that we know of that has gigabit internet speed. There's already fiber optic lines ran from Tennessee Valley Network up to the site that's fully operational. They've already demoed it to people that have come in and visited. So to have that to help recruit businesses to this area for conferences is tremendous. As far as the state of Georgia is concerned, we're located in what's called the historic high country. That's its black line. Now, the Northwest Georgia Joint Development Authority is the blue line that you see here. We're located right here, just about the middle of that whole Northwest Georgia Joint Development Authority. So you're going to have an impact on the whole region. This is Walker County. You're going to capture the sales tax, but this is going to be something that will benefit the whole region. It'll even benefit probably to some degree Chattanooga. But it'll be located here in Walker County. The historic high country, the state of Georgia markets it, they advertise it. There's only, with all these other locations, there's only one other location in the historic high country, and it's way down here. It's Barnsley Gardens. We'll talk about it in a little bit more. But it's the only resort location in this area, but it's not a mountaintop resort. It doesn't have full conference facilities as we will have. Keep going. So the project site, a little bit more detail. We're standing, if you're familiar with the area, this is Lookout Mountain. This is the ridge top right here. We're standing over Macklemore Cove, probably a little bit more than halfway to Pigeon Mountain, looking back. This is Hogjaw, I believe, right here. And that's West Cove over there. Actually, I'm over at Hogjaw, I apologize. This is West Cove Road over here. So this is on, you kind of see a point how it comes out like this and then goes back. That's the hotel right there. I'm going to show you some images of how we're going to, there's some imageries that brighten it up for marketing purposes, but we want this to blend into the mountain, to be authentic to the site. We want this to be something that grows out and we protect the natural characteristics of what's there. There is an upper brow that I wish was a little bit more prominent that you could see. So there's the top of the mountain, and then there's a shelf just below the mountain. This hotel site, resort site, and the #1 hole there, as well as this hole here, are all on a lower shelf. So they're not sticking up above the mountain ridge line for everyone to see. This is actually nestled down into the mountain so that if you're there, you have tremendous views, but it's not sticking up on top of the mountain. Oh, let me go back. Orient you a little bit. So this is the golf course that's already there. This is scenic highway that runs through the mountain. This is the other side of the mountain right here. So with this piece of property here and what we have on the other side in Dade County, we're the only property owner on Lookout Mountain that has complete private access other than crossing the highway from one side of the mountain all the way to the other side of the mountain. So to offer sunrise views to sunset views, to trails, to that waterfall that we showed you. The waterfall is located about right there. It's 1 mile walk from the highway to that. So to be able to have the destination, it's an inspiration point and just a hike to immediately, and then to have Cloudland Canyon and the Cove and everything else to access is a tremendous asset. So no one will ever see this view unless you're in a helicopter. I mean, this is high above. This is more creative for marketing and just to share the components with you. But the brow edge is out here, so we're setting back a little ways from that. We've already had geological studies and surveys to show where we can even build the project. But this is the hotel itself. We want a rooftop element rather than just a flat roof, something that people can enjoy at a higher elevation and look at the views, but we're not above the upper brow line. You have your conference meeting facilities here. This is the outdoor pavilion with a lawn space. There's certain events that work well for that, whether it's weddings or other events that may want to sit there, a little bit of separation from the hotel conference center itself. The spa is on the back side of the mountain. The dining is right here at this, it's a raised patio pavilion that comes out. The dining room's on that first floor right there. Obviously the pool, cabana area, some dining options over here, and a pool terrace also. This is a view standing on the terrace looking back out. This is Pigeon Mountain kind of coming down that begins to form Macklemore Cove coming back in. This is an image of where the hotel site is located. This is the brow line, the lower brow edge is here. So you can see it comes all the way out to this point. And then the red line right here is how close we can build a structural terrace. Like if we wanted to build a little retaining wall up and put any mass on it, we can build a terrace there. We go past it if it's just a wall or just concrete. And then this blue line is the actual structure of the hotel, the purple line. We cannot build any structure any closer to that. That's forcing us to stay back, but we want it to be back a little bit anyway, so it's really worked out well with this orientation because now We're going to protect the trees and everything on this side. We'll show you how we're going to do that. We may even relocate some of this parking over here, but there'll be trees to block all of that, even if we did leave it there, which we're not planning on. But this is a spa entry would come down. The spa entry doubles as access for fire access, just in case there was an emergency. The patio will support a fire truck coming around the other side, so we get a fire truck all the way around the property this way. That's already been studied. We've worked with the previous fire administration to work that out. Here's some plans for the hotel that's already been programmed and scanned. We're just going to flip through these just to show you they exist. Some of this is proprietary. We're not ready to leave it out there too long yet. I just want to show you that it does exist. The components. So there's two components to this project. There's private components, and then there's components that are typically publicly funded by government. The hotel, the spa, the dining, other amenities, we're paying for those as private investors, and we're looking to make a return off the market for those. But there's public items that are typically funded by the government, and I will show you examples of those. But the additional infrastructure, there's tremendous infrastructure already up there, but there's more needed to make this project happen. We're 100% funding that. Then there's emergency facilities, conference facilities, and qualified recreational uses. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as well. I want to jump to the team first, because this is more than just me. How did somebody from Walker County gain the experience to build, or develop a resort in Walker County? I didn't. I'm recruiting them to come with Walker County. We have investors that are willing to invest with them coming. Now the team already exists. We're already here. They've been with us for a long time, so it's not we're trying to do that now. We've already had them, but we had to recruit this team to come with us. The hotel manager is Valor Hospitality. We'll share a little bit about them. The master planner is Hart Howerton. Both of these are national and international recognized operators and planners. The architect is a local architect that would work with Hart Howerton, PV Design. They're based in Chattanooga. They are doing the Marriott Autograph Collection in Chattanooga right now, and they're doing other projects, hotel projects now, as well as they have in the past. And then I added this one on here because this has come up as well. The deal that's structured isn't just me sitting down with Robert Wardlaw or Commissioner Whitfield and agreeing to something and moving on. The county attorney is involved, and he's brought in an expert that we'll end up paying. We're paying that bill. But they brought in an expert to represent you and to represent them. Somebody that does these, that knows what can be done and what can't be done and what should be done and not should be done. This person is, this group has written a number of white papers professionally. I mean, other people rely on them to do these, and they are representing you. Even though we're paying that bill, we're giving you the money to pay it. They represent you, and Commissioner and Robert, Chairman Wardlaw can share more about that if they'd like. Hart Howerton. Now, Roland Aberg is a principal with Hart Howerton. Hart Howerton, by many accounts, is the #1 resort developer in the U.S. and one of the top in the entire world. Their resorts include Palmetto Bluff in South Carolina for Duke Energy. The redevelopment of the Greenbrier in West Virginia that was washed out by the flood. The expansion of Sea Island in Georgia, that's a premier location in Georgia and attracts, at the ocean, attracts people from all over the place, competing with other ocean properties. Mycoma in Sonoma Valley, beautiful place. In addition, not Roland himself, but Hart Howerton, was started because Walt Disney hired Bob Hart to design the beginning of Disney World as a resort. They understand getting people to a destination and allowing people to decompress from their natural environment. People come from busy cities, busy lives. Having an opportunity to experience a new world that's not too far away works. They did this down, again, that's a different direction that we're taking because they had to manufacture something because it was swampland, where we have the natural beauty and we're going to celebrate the enhancements of the natural beauty that we have here. So I don't want you to confuse that, but I want you to know these guys know what they're doing and have a huge track record. Roland himself has been working on this project with us from the very beginning. He actually testified in trial for us. He has a landscape architecture degree from Cornell University, one of the top in the nation. Master planning from University of Oregon, again, one of the top master planning degrees in the whole country. And an architecture degree from University of Cal Berkeley. Great guy, and I would call him friend. He cares about the area. These are not people you can just hire and say, I want to build a hotel somewhere. They vet you because they care about what their name is. They vet the location. He loves this area. He grew up on a nursery in New York and bought a lot of their plant life from this area that grows the beautiful botanicals, and he's looking forward to moving this project forward. Mycoma is one of the projects that he did out in California in Sonoma Valley. And you can see how they maintain the natural landscape and blended everything in. You know, this is 2-story here, but they blended it in with the landscape, and they use natural colorings to make this fit and work with the existing environment that they had here. Now this one's a little bit different, but still a beautiful project. Palmetto Bluff in South Carolina for Duke Energy. Large development, but this was the natural setting for lowland in that area. And they worked and created this beautiful resort. Again, you can look these up. I also want to share that I don't have their resort package with me. If you'll promise not to take this with you, because this is my last one, I need to show it to some others coming in. This is an example of other work that they've done all over the U.S. and even the world to show you different styles that they work with and what's possible and how these fit into the environments that they work within. As far as the hospitality group is concerned, Valley Hospitality and UM Washington is the founding principal of that. He helped develop Cape Grace Hotel and manage it in South Africa. It was voted the best hotel in the world in the year 2000. At that point in time, Barnsley Gardens had already launched. Prince Hubertus Fugger of Bavaria had started Barnsley and was not doing very well. He wasn't from around here. And he didn't know hospitality. But he loved that site, and he recruited Ewan and brought him to the States because he was one of the best operators in the world. Ewan wanted to move to the States with his family. He's originally from Scotland, but he's always dreamed of being in the United States. He located to Atlanta. He turned Barnsley Gardens around from single-digit occupancy rates, which that's horrendous, single-digit occupancy rates to 60 to 70% occupancy rates in 1 year. So not only did he develop from scratch one of the best hotels in the world, he turned Barnsley Gardens around in 1 year, and it's our closest resort location to us, even though we're not competitors with them as well. So here's the 2 different ones. Again, this is in a Cape Town. This is a place where yachts would come in. They would stay at this location. This is not what we're building, but I want to share the experience that he has with you. And this is what he did at Barnsley and worked to expand that and turn that into what it is, which ended up becoming one of the best, I think the top best bed and breakfast in the country at one point in time before he left. Once he got it turned around, the Prince sold the property. Why is he still not there? The Prince sold the property. The new owner and him, they left on amicable terms, but they just didn't see eye to eye. Right after that, we came along and he saw an opportunity here. Ewan's been with us from the very beginning, also testified at trial on our behalf to help get us to where we are today. In addition to those 2, we have a whole team. We have a hotel franchise itself, engineering team, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural, number of contractors and subcontractors, suppliers, legal, accounting, geotechnical consultants, environmental energy, number of feasibility studies we'll talk about, financial advisors, topographical surveys, interior designers, golf course marketing, and sales. There are so many consultants that have been involved in this thing to make sure this works because so many people are depending on it. I can show you all the work. At trial, there was 500,000 pages of documents produced on the effort that we put forward at that time. Benefits, so while you're here tonight, benefits to Walker County. First is the jobs. So we're going to have 180 jobs. We really anticipate, because we've added 30 rooms to it, that we're going to have more jobs than that. We're also going to have other activities. But we're going to call the baseline 180. It's 10 management jobs, 44 food and beverage, and that's plus tips. These are average salaries that we're talking about. 12 in the spa, marketing, sales, 5 people to bring this in. Conference services, housekeeping, so out of 180, 28's housekeeping, with an average of 24, so there's higher and there's entry level there. So this is a place that appeals to management, executive, engineering, and facilities here at this location, food, beverage, all across the board, marketing, sales, conference services. So there's going to be multiple opportunities for jobs to be created here. And the wonderful thing about this project, unlike retail, marketing, manufacturing, or even logistics, where if labor gets a little cheaper somewhere else or something moved, they can afford to close that factory and move it because labor is their biggest expense. When you build this, it's not going to move. It's going to be here for, practically forever as far as we're concerned. You go to the Grove Park, it's still there. You go to Greenbrier, it's still there. You go to any of these other locations. Now, they may have, I'll admit, they may have financial difficulty at times. The investors may lose their investment. That is the highest probability out of anything that could come is that. But you're going to have the jobs. It's complete apples and oranges from that standpoint. Even if it went in, this is extreme, we wouldn't be making the investment and everybody else if this was even possible. But even if it did go bankrupt, as an extreme, these things do not close down. They're still going to have the jobs, they're still going to have the visitors, they're still going to generate the money for you, and you can't just pick this up and locate it to India or Mexico or somewhere else as well. So in addition to the 180 jobs, no one lives apart on their own. You depend on others. This business will depend on other businesses as well. In addition to the 180 direct employment jobs, there's a FedFit study that measures economic impact that was already performed on this that says there's going to be a total of 292 jobs, including the 180, to help support this in different ways. Whether it's service techs working to come and service the facility, air conditioning units, or lights, or electrical needs, or food and beverage outside the hotel, or working at increasing staff at some of the visitor places, or whatever else it may be, medical staff, anything like that across the board. It's going to take new jobs to support this. And they're projecting that the annual payroll will be over nearly $11 million with that. Plus the construction jobs. Now, this number, I'm going to tell you, not all of those jobs are going to be here. Some of this is in other areas that will be coming in. But every job that can be had here, my construction company hires people in Walker County already. I don't see much. They're some of our best workers, so we love having them. But an additional payroll in that standpoint is 67 million as well. So I think you'll see bigger numbers than this. This is the biggest I felt comfortable projecting. Not that the other ones aren't accurate, but you go through the other math, but it's over $1 million projected revenue, even after we pay for the private infrastructure and everything else, that will start coming back to Walker County instantly. Even during the construction process, there's sales tax on all these stuff coming in. It's projected to be over $1.5 million in county maintained sales tax use there. So why are the incentives required? There's two reasons, two primary. In addition to the investors keeping them here, but we have them here, even beyond the investors, there's two reasons why this has to work. And it's not just our investors, it's financial investors, pension funds and others that would invest in the rest of the project to get it over the finish line. To build mission critical infrastructure, the county can't afford to do it. I knew it before I even showed up. I knew the situation because I'd worked on this before. I knew if I even showed up and asked, which I didn't want to then, and I wouldn't now, that it's not even possible to get the county to pay for that infrastructure. You can't afford to do it right now. We figured out a way of how to do that, to compete regionally with similarly funded projects. There's projects that are completely funded by government agencies that don't pay any property tax because they're owned by the government. This will be privately owned, but we're having to compete with those. In order to do that, to be equally competitive, we cannot afford to pay more property tax than what we propose to pay and be able to be competitive and bring the financial resources to get this project developed. So let's keep going here. So ever since I've been involved in development in any way, anytime I start a new project, There's always the discussion, what comes first, development or infrastructure? I've heard brilliant people on both sides of the argument. If you do development first, then it can fund the infrastructure. Some people, and then you have people arguing, but the infrastructure is not there to support the development. So then the county's having to go out and spend money, or the city's having to spend money before the development comes. So where do you start on this circle? I to this day have heard brilliant people on both sides argue, and I've never heard an answer that really ever addresses this question. This is the closest I have to it, and I've been working on this for a long time. If you have a better way, we're wide open, and we'll try to incorporate that. We have figured out a mechanism that we can do both of those through private funding, so long as just the project, not monies from anywhere else or anything else, but the project being successful, that a portion, not all, a lot of it's coming directly to go to education and general fund, $1 million minimum. You're going to see more in a little bit. But a portion of that has to come back to reimburse for the infrastructure, the services, and the facilities that the private dollars are funding for this. The county's not funding any of that up front, and we need some of it for this to happen. So what's first, infrastructure or development? We're going to do both at this time, with the understanding that the new monies that's going to be generated that never would exist if it wasn't for this project, a portion of those. Because we talked about the property tax, but all of the sales tax is coming back to the county that belongs to the county. The state's portion of the sales tax, they are rebating, but the county's portion is staying with the county. So the components again, because we're funding the additional infrastructure, emergency facilities, the conference facilities, and the qualified recreational uses that we have, that's why that abatement is needed, is to reimburse for those expenses that need to have. This civic center was paid with public dollars. Go to the next slide, is it there? All right, so example, the Chattanooga, which we've been compared to already. How are we going to compete with them? That's the perfect example. The Chattanooga is 100% publicly funded. Not only the conference facility, but also the hotel. The trade center was funded by public dollars. You go up to straight north of here, Kentucky did Dale Hollow Lake Resort up there. All the infrastructure, the meeting facilities, the hotel. The state of Georgia did Brasstown over here on the other side of all the mountains. They completely funded that. Now, I think we've had better locations, and that's why we're willing to do this privately, but we're going out way and beyond what the most recent norms are on how these projects are done. Now, we can either figure out how to do this, which we have, or we have to let people keep going to these other places, and we have to go work in those other places because the jobs aren't here to support growing up. So why are they needed? The incentives are required to build the infrastructure, public infrastructure, and compete with similarly publicly funded projects. And you have all the resources to do it here with what we've done. Keep going. So let's talk about why it's going to be successful, the feasibility of the project. I'm going to start with the existing infrastructure that's already paid for. You already have a golf course up there. It needs some work to be resort quality, but to have the bones already in there and to have the land already disturbed, for it to grow into a kudzu farm or a cornfield would be a disgrace and a shame for the investment that's already been made. You already have fiber optic that's been ran up there by the Tennessee Valley Network. You already have a water tower that's paid for by Dade County up there to support that. That's within a mile of Katy Ridge itself, and was put in anticipation of this project a long time ago. Sewer package plant that's already up there to be connected to. Now there's improvements that need to be made to that, but the license is already there and the basic infrastructure is there to accommodate that. The decel acceleration lane on the highway. Now we're not on interstate, but we're on the highway. It's a nice highway. If you go to Barnsley, or you go through all those back roads to get over to Brasstown Valley, or through some very windy roads to get up Dale Hollow Lake State Park, we have some of the best access that you can imagine. And with people coming from different directions, Birmingham's coming up one way, Atlanta's coming up another, Knoxville's coming down another, Nashville's coming another, Chattanooga's another. We can work with the county to direct how they want that flow to come. We can offer that as a suggestion route and bring people in different times and in different ways to keep the traffic impact to a minimum. You may want them to come through Lafayette. You may want them to go around Lafayette. We haven't made that decision. That'll be additional input that we'll put into this. Roads are ideal for the traffic being spread even. I just said that. So project is completely debt-free. Compared to where it was before, everything that we have is completely debt-free. There's not any debt. We're not rushed. We're not having to make a decision to do something. We can, again, the investors could decide to donate the land like a lot of other people have up there, put them in conservation easements or other trusts, and that land can sit up there forever undeveloped and not generate any additional revenue, even though there's conservation lands there all the way around it. And the existing landowner that even has the golf course near their lots, he's completely debt-free. So he doesn't have to do anything. And because we're at that point, we've been able to afford to be patient. We don't have a debt clock ticking. We've been able to take this thoughtfully, take the time to develop it so that we can come here today and answer hopefully all your questions. If we can't answer all, we'll come back to the others very soon. So who's all worked on this? Feasibility and financial analysis. So Valor Hospitality did their own back then, and they've done a new one now. HVS feasibility report. HVS, you look them up, they're nationally recognized, world recognized, independent feasibility study company that comes in and says how your project's going to perform based on how the other projects are performing in the area and looking at your site specific. PKF does the same thing. We have reports on both of those. We also had expert witnesses at the trial under scrutiny of attack by professionals. They brought their own expert witnesses to defend this project in front of a jury of peers, but they had to listen to this for a lot longer than we're going to be here tonight. We had the brand acceptance. Now, I want to be clear, Starwood, Marriott, or Hilton, or any of those, they don't say it's feasible. But they do tell you, we're not going to put our name on something that we believe is going to fail because it hurts our brand name. Their value is built in their name. And if they had a Starwood hotel and it failed, that hurts their own value. So they do accept and have reviewed all of this other information before they accept it. They've accepted it last time, and I'll be honest, this is a better deal this time. It's all, I mean, I would never have chosen to delay it, to go through the trial that we went through, but this is a more thoughtful project. This is a better project, more sustainable. You can't work on one any longer than this one has and be at where we are right now. In addition, later on, we have a spend travel report as well. A lot of times, some of these others rely on them. They go gather the hard data. They go to the other resorts and they say, how busy are you? How much money are you making? What's your occupancy rates? How much are you making? And then they look at, they don't necessarily look at the market surrounding them. That's more these, all these others do that. They just pull the raw data and tell us what those other ones are doing. But their raw data, along with everybody else, suggests, even though we're in a better market, that the room rates are justified at an average daily rate of $280. So Reynolds Plantation is getting more. Blackberry Farms is getting more. A lot of other places are getting a lot more than that. That's the average of all of those other ones, and every evidence is pointing that we have a better location because of market accessibility compared to those other ones. And we have an occupancy rate justified at between 60 to 70%. Really 65 to 70%, but I put 60 on the low end because it still works. But that is what they're projecting conservatively for this project to move forward and be successful. So what are the requirements for success? Is the experienced team, the proximity market that we can have. We can outposition the other products that are already in the market. The natural beauty. We're not having to make up the beauty. It already exists here. A major hotel brand we've already had. We've been welcomed back to get that. We just have not decided to go with, we have not made the decision to go back to Starwood for sure. I'll tell you that's probably my preference, but there's a lot of people who decide that. We may go to Marriott, we may go to Hilton. That decision will be made fairly soon, and we'll let you know when we make that decision. The existing infrastructure is already there. The proven feasibility with everyone being involved. Also in the feasibility, I didn't expect to be here till fall, but we already have financial groups that have started the underwriting process for this, that have already looked at this and said that the metrics work. The fact that you own all this debt-free and the equity that you have in it, what the community within the Gates of Canyon Ridge is doing, we're already working. Now, we don't get that until later in the year or even later. We're here for the long haul, but we are ahead of schedule on that part as well. And then most important is the collaborative effort. Having everyone working together on this at the state level, within the gates of the Canyon Ridge itself, our investors that have been part of this and board members that have attended meetings, the Walker County Development Authority, the Walker County Commissioner. Everybody working together at this point in time is critical. We had all of that last time, except the fiber optic. That's not required, but it definitely does help. We had all this last time, but we didn't have collaborative effort. But now we have it all. And there is absolutely no reason for this project to not be one of the most successful projects in the entire Southeast as it is, and for you to reap the benefits on this in the long term without investing a dollar on the front end. So thank you. I'm going to hand it back over to the commissioner that has the presentation, and I'll be hanging around and answering questions up here. And then if you want to hang around and talk to me directly afterwards, we have to do that as well. Thank you.
Okay, we've only got about 78 more slides to go. Just teasing. Only like 9 more slides. But the Q&A may take some time, so if y'all want to take about a 5-minute stretch break, or if anybody needs to run to the restroom, I know many of y'all have been sitting here for about an hour and a half, and these are not your living room recliners. So if you want to stand up and stretch, feel free to do so as we swap over our technology. We forgot to give Dwayne the wireless mic, so that's why I won't have to talk this loud. Got a good volume for everybody? Right here, okay in the back? Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to jump right into the numbers, because I know that's what a lot of people have been most interested in once they hear about the project, is how does this affect Walker County? Okay, if you're not putting upfront dollars into it, and we hear this abatement thing that's going on, how does that work? And what all benefit does this affect the taxpayers of Walker County? So currently, on the golf course, the Wayne's Group, one of the things they're doing is they'll actually be purchasing the golf course. The current property taxes on the golf course is over $15,000. That's total. That includes the school portion as well. So the county gets less than half of that now that goes to the county government for that 18-hole golf course. Property taxes on the 48 acres of land that's owned by Scenic Land Partners is $957 per year for the raw land. And again, the largest portion of that goes to the school system. And so in the end, when you take and you add these two numbers together, total current property taxes for both of these pieces of property here is just under $17,000 a year total. So remember that number, $16,669. We're going to talk quite a bit about that number because that's our baseline start. If this project doesn't happen for any reason, and we're going to make some assumptions here throughout this presentation that's going to be consistent, and that is we're going to say that over this period of time that the property values don't change and that the tax rates don't change. Okay, so to give a baseline comparison, we don't want to be jumping around and trying to figure inflation and chasing those numbers and getting into the wild things there. We're going to assume that the tax rate doesn't change and the property values don't change. So the project will continue to pay those existing taxes. So what they're getting an abatement on is the taxes on the new development that they're doing. This baseline of the property for the golf course and the other land that they have, they'll continue to pay those. So those are not subject to the abatement. So from year 6 through 30 on the $106 million investment, that will generate the local government $104,686 a year. That's that 10%. So the first 5 years on the new development, there's no property taxes. Those will be 100% abated. So on years 6 through 30 on this investment, it's going to be $104,000 a year. This will generate over that 25-year time period $2.6 million over the 30-year life. So the first 5 years is no taxes. The next 25 years will generate over the 30-year cycle $2.6 million. So remember, if we did nothing, this money here would not generate. So the current taxes, again, $16,668 a year over 30 years, which is the life of the abatement, would generate a little over $500,000 that will remain intact. We will continue to get that money. The proposed taxes on the new project, the $104,000 a year for 25 years, again, is $2.6 million. So our total taxes that we will get over a 30-year project is going to be a little over $3.1 million. So when you look at this, if we just keep status quo, nothing changes, the land stays as it is, it's going to bring in $500,000 over 30 years. Versus us doing the abatement, we're going to get $2.6 million over that 30-year cycle in that last 25-year period. So we've got a lot of incentive to bring in some serious tax dollars to get us a total in that 30 years of $3.1 million. So again, if you look at this over a 40-year period, take that baseline of $16,000 over 40 years, that generates $666,760. Then you will have, on the abatement, the proposed project, that first year, the first 5 years is at zero. So we'll make that real clear that everybody understands that that abatement, there will be no new taxes. We'll continue to collect this, but no new taxes. In the next 25 years, it's that 2.6. Folks, look at what happens the last 10 years to get to that 40, from the year 30 to year 40. It's over $1 million a year at the current rates. So in 10 years, you're going to have $10.4 million in property taxes that are generated. So the total property tax revenue over a 40-year period is $13,752,460. The current property tax revenue over 40 years would be $666,000. So one of the things that's been happening historically in our county is all the emphasis has been on how do we create debt. You know, and when you see the audit, it's going to be out in a couple of weeks or less, you're going to see over $71 million worth of debt on the county balance sheet. And no reserves. No rainy day fund. No one has stopped and thought, how do we plan for the future? How do we keep from passing debt from generation to generation to generation? This is going to give us an opportunity to try to break that cycle where we're not continuing to pass debt forward. We need to figure out ways to generate money. Some people say, well, Commissioner, the problem we've got here is this project's not being built for Walker County. This project is really being built for the rich people. Thank you. Bring them. I want all the rich people to come use this facility. Because like I was quoted in the paper, what do rich people do when they go out of town? They spend crazy amounts of money. I almost want to go up there every day when we get this developed and shake their hand and say, welcome to Walker County. Thank you for coming. Please leave your money at the door because we want it. So this will help take the burden off of the next generation. So we can't think about this project only on, well, they get a free taxes for the first 5 years. Or that's so short-sighted. 5 years will go by so fast. We can't think about that. That's the way things have been done around here in the past. How do we get through the next election cycle? What can we do? What can we create to get to the next election cycle? When's the last time have you seen anyone local talk about how we're going to get 40 years out? And what are we going to generate? So, local government sales tax. That was just property tax, folks. That's just one piece of the pie. Now we're going to talk about the local government sales tax revenue. This doesn't include the state portion. This is just the local government portion where we get 3%, and that's shared between the other municipalities. Based off their $22 million projected annual sales, that's $660,000 a year, just off of the sales tax. The FedFit study projects that 1.3 times the economic impact factor, which will result in a projected total sales tax increase of $198,000 annually as an additional increase over and above this, just on the economic impact. These are professional studies. This is not stuff that Dwayne made up. These are not numbers that they just pull out of the air. This is data and scientific, the way they figure and work into these things. And those companies don't stay in business if they miss these numbers with other projects. They've got to build credibility. They've got to be able to stay in business. And so when they do these projections, they've got to be able to prove it, and when they look back in time, see if they hit their marks. So then we're going to create a hotel-motel tax. I left my paper in the car with the exact number, but it was over, I think, 178 cities and counties across the state that already have a hotel-motel tax. We don't have one in Walker County. So those rich people we were talking about, this is another way for us to tax them. If you don't stay at that hotel or use those services at the hotel, you as a citizen of Walker County, you're not going to pay this tax. It's basically, you look at it as a luxury type tax because you're paying this for hotel expenses. So you look at the numbers here, that money will be earmarked and designated by state law, a portion of this that goes to the county, $770,000 a year is the projections. Well, let's just say we're half wrong. Still a big number. So the question's been asked, well, what are we going to do for the little guy? What are we going to do for the local businesses? What are we going to do for the mom and pop? Folks, this type of project is what I call like the mall effect, where you got to have those anchor stores to come in because they're going to do the big advertising. They've got the brand names. They've got everything, the infrastructure in place, so the smaller boutique shops and specialty shops can open up and survive. We need a project like this to come in to generate $750,000 a year that will be spent 100% on marketing Walker County to bring people to this county. You know how much our budget is for that right now in Walker County? Zero. You know how much it's been for the last several years? Zero. So here's an opportunity for them to lay $750,000 in our lap to market and promote our county. So you want that snowball effect. We get people to come, what are they going to do? They're going to pay the hotel-motel tax. They're going to pay the sales tax. And you hope you get a snowball effect so that you outperform your projections. And wouldn't it be great if we could come up one year and we got $1 million a year to spend on attracting and marketing people to Walker County? The Iron Man that comes to Chattanooga. I know some people in Walker County don't like it because the bicycles are disrupted. I hear that quite often. Does anyone really know or ever thought about how the Iron Man and the Chattanooga group that promote all of that, how they reimburse Walker County for our expenses? Because there's an expense for the emergency services and the extra police and the overtime and everything that's generated from Walker County to work those events and those races. There's a lot of pre-planning that goes into those things. There's a lot of coordination. There's an expense tied to that. Chattanooga reimburses Walker County out of their hotel-motel tax. So a lot of creative things can be done. And they're using that because they've got all those hotel rooms. They want to bring an event in. They're willing to share that with us to help get those people in those hotel rooms. Okay, so the projected revenue over 40 years. Property taxes at $13.7 million. Sales tax over 40 years is $26.4 million. The FedFit impact on that additional sales tax revenue is almost $7.9 million. Tourism marketing money is $30,800,000. So So we've got $78,872,000 in projected new tax revenue to our county. So again, let's say we're 75% of that, or we're 50% wrong. It's only $38 or $40 million. Gee, I'll take it. But look what could happen to our community and to our debt and to that second and third generation coming behind us if we can generate almost $80 million over 40 years. Folks, this is a deal changer. This will change Walker County's future. This does not include a lot of things. This doesn't include the over, I think it's $10, $11 million impact of wages that the facility is going to be employing people from our community. It doesn't include that. It doesn't include the property value increases of the lots up there. I had a person come to my office today that has a lot in Canyon Ridge. And when we looked at their assessed value, I said, my prediction is that the lots up there will probably double the day they break ground. She said, I hope so. They better. So what are we going to get in a sales tax bump, a property tax bump, just on a vacant lot in Canyon Ridge if they double overnight? Some say that that's very conservative in something like this, that they'll double. Maybe more than that. So, next slide. I think this is our last one. Is this the last one of it? 40-year projection again. Without the project, the total revenue is $1.8 million on the existing property taxes that are coming in on those two properties. So if you annualize that over 40 years, you're at $46,000 a year is what we would get annualized over 40 years. If you take this project, the total revenue is $78.8 million. And again, you've got to keep in mind that first 5 years of that abatement is in that number, in fairness. And you annualize that evenly. Okay, so we're making an assumption there. You're going to annualize that evenly. We're not going to get as much on the front end, but on the back end, it's really going to grow. It's going to annualize out at $1.9 million a year annualized of new tax revenue. So, I think the real question is for the citizens and the taxpayers of Walker County, I try to simplify it, make it really clear and easy. Without or with. It's just that simple to me. And so they always talk about you need to look and you focus on long-term investments. Everything that's been done in the past few years has been short-sighted thinking. When I saw this opportunity in meeting with Dwayne and his board and met some of these people behind the scenes that he listed out earlier, and I see their compassion and how convinced they are for this project, I'm thinking, wow, this is incredible just to have the opportunity to have them even consider Walker County. Because when they've got that type of project, they have those experts behind them. As Dwayne indicated, when you deal with those top people, they have to accept you and accept what you're doing because they don't want to put their name on it if it's not something high quality and something that they want to be representative of their company and their name. And so we've got a tremendous opportunity to do something here to change the future of your children and your grandchildren, that we're at a point where if the community come out and said, we're totally against this, Dwayne and his group, they've not signed anything that would bind them to have to do this project to this point. They could still back out at any moment. And so, as he mentioned in one of his slides there a while ago, basically having the collaboration and the support and having everyone on board is key to getting this across the finish line. Because the more hurdles we can take down, the more we can work together to grow this project and all pull together and be supportive of this, the faster we can get to this number and maybe even have the chances of beating those numbers. So, to me, this is very inspirational. Who knows, time will tell if we hit or miss that number. One of the interesting things some of you may know, when they built the aquarium in Chattanooga, first year, I think they doubled their expectations of what it would do. How great would that be if this project and Dwayne's group is half wrong and it was double what they thought? That happens too. And so, either way you look at it, it's a win for Walker County. Us not having to put anything up front, if they don't hit the marks that they have to hit to get the abatements because they have to earn those, we still get the property taxes. If they're successful, we get the taxes. So this is one of those times where we're the government, we win either way. Okay, I think it's one way we got to look at it. The government's going to win either way. And so fortunately, we're in that position that if we can win like this, we can win big. So that's the end of my slide presentation, and at this time I'll ask Robert Wardlaw and Dwayne Horton to come back up. And what we're going to do here, we did Monday night, worked out very well. They're going to put a projector over here on this other screen, and they're going to log every question that's asked, so we make sure we get the question right. And they're also going to take those questions and go back and write in the answers later and put those on their website, frequently asked questions, and make sure if there's any question that comes up tonight that hasn't already been put on their website or that come from Monday night, they want to get that out there so you can reference back to it or other people can look at it. And also to keep good order and to make sure we give everyone an opportunity to ask a question or make a comment, Joe's going to come up and take this wireless mic, and we're simply just going to go row to row. Joe's going to go across the room row to row and give you an opportunity to take the mic and ask the question or make a comment, so we don't have anybody that feels like, hey, I was in the back, I didn't get an opportunity. We want every question to be asked if it's on your mind that pertains to this project. So Joe?
Kind of like the old Donahue show. We'll go down the aisles. I'll cover everybody, so if you have a question, if you have a question after we've gone through the aisles, you'll have a chance to ask them.
There's going to be a firing range, is there?
No, there's not going to be a firing range. We're looking at possibly bringing in an Olympic shooter that we've already met with that would possibly do skeets or something along that line. It would be a shooting club. It had limited hours. Again, we're up on top of the mountain. We've got a very limited access, surrounded with a lot of conservation area, but we are looking at doing something along that line in the area, but not a firing range to where people will just be playing. It'll be an organized trail that will be guided and people will participate in.
Well, I was hoping for a firing range.
Well, we can bring one, in addition to that, we want to be able to work with the state of Georgia. We've met with them in the past about the wildlife management area. I do think there could be some opportunity in some protected areas with some of the hollows and things to protect noise, to offer something that's been brought up, but we don't have a plan for it right now. We can add that to our list of requested items if that interests you.
Thank you.
It's a female. I just noticed there was a small in there. Should I go over here?
One of those is giving us.
Yeah, we'll just turn that one off.
That's right.
I think we can talk loud enough. We don't need one.
I can probably talk loud enough too, but anyway. There is a spa mentioned there, correct? When you say spa, what do you mean by spa? Oh, give me some details, okay?
I mean, if you go to Grove Park, I don't know, I mean, this would be a place that you can go relax at a private pool or, a pool. There'll be massage, there'll be treatments, probably even be a hair, I mean, it'll be a complete body type spa environment. There's other people and experts that are putting that together, but I mean, it will be truly an all-inclusive location that we think even local, people from Chattanooga or something, they come up just to utilize just the spa and go back.
Well, I'm very excited. I live down the road from it, so. I have another question that has nothing to do with spas. You mentioned, the emergency services and everything. Tell me a little bit more about how that works there. I'm not sure.
Well, a combination of the tax abatements and what the community's putting in through their extra taxes. We're looking at building a fire station in this area that will service more than just the hotel of that community. It'll actually, we're probably funding something that's going to service that whole community in that area, within an area. We're anticipating, the commissioner brought up that the lot prices may double. I can't guarantee what they're going to do, but right now you talked about one that was at $30,000 at Brownwood on Lookout Mountain in Dade County. I think our lowest price we sold a lot for, I believe, is $80,000. They've gone for as much as $200,000. They don't have anything near like what we have here. Now they've got amenities and they've got a draw, and it's a beautiful community. But I believe that we'll be able to add a lot of value to those existing lots that already have roads to them, sewers to them, and everything else to raise those values for those dollars to come back in and feed into the county that aren't figured. In addition, that when people build houses on those lots that are already developed, that's an extra property tax improvement. So even if it went up 100, I'd say at Brownwood, the average house is probably $600,000 to $700,000. You add that much more on each lot up there, it starts to get to be a large number on additional property taxes coming to the county that's not even forecasted in this. And these are people that don't, most of them, we're not exclusive, but most of them don't have children still in school and using the school system. A lot of them don't have, they're good citizens, and others are looking for a place to retire or have a second home. So they're not bringing high crime rates or anything with them when they come. So the overall cost, a lot of the property tax dollars will be able to stay and be able to be used in the rest of the county.
Yeah, speaking about property taxes, as Dwayne indicated, just to clarify, the property taxes for the surrounding community, residents and empty lots, those were not in any of the numbers that I showed you. Any of that growth of lot prices increasing or additional development of houses, none of that's there. That would just all be over and above those projected numbers that we just showed.
And they would start coming a lot sooner, not waiting out. That would happen instantly.
Yeah, that's true.
One more. The acceleration and deceleration lanes and everything, I wasn't quite on that, what you were speaking of there.
That's a good point. There's so many items. So you have this beautiful mountain, and you have you got a road, and in certain places it's level, certain places it's a little windy. You can't just build a project like this anywhere you want on the mountain. You have to build it where it's safe to get in and off of that highway. You have to have clear lines of visibility. So to have a place that has already been approved by GDOT to access a state highway that already has a deceleration lane so people can slow down and get off, and an acceleration lane and a turn lane, to already have that in place and already approved is a huge hurdle in a close proximity to service a project such as this. That's a good question. They're all great questions, but that was...
Let's pass Tyler up today. I've already talked to him 3 times.
You get a fourth. I hear there's a special tax district up there.
Yes, that was something that we didn't go into the detail of. The special tax district, I guess you did mention that early on. The residents up there have agreed to increase their tax millage rate by 25 mills of the 74 that attended the meeting. So we'll be working with Dwayne, and he's going to put a community advisory team together to talk and look about exactly how those funds are utilized in that area. But 100% of those taxes will have to be spent in that special tax district for government improvements or government services on government property. So it's not going to go to build the hotel. It will have to be used for improvements. So we can't take those monies and go use them in Rossville or Flintstone or something like that. They have to be used there. And so as there's more developments that come online there and those values increase, those property taxes will increase as well for that special tax district. So any of y'all other residents of Walker County, if you want to get with your neighbors, we can put a special tax district together anywhere. So if anybody else wants to increase their property taxes, just let me know. We'll be happy to work with you.
Shannon, can I ask another question, or make a statement?
We'll come back to you.
Okay.
I just noticed in the numbers, you didn't mention the, how the county is to pay for the infrastructure. And I thought that there was going to be some sort of bond issue to, to pay for those things, which is basically public money up front.
Yes, this is probably going to take others to address as well, but we're privately funding those dollars to build that infrastructure. Then the tax abatement agreement that we have will come back to us as the project's successful. It's not money coming from anywhere else in the county. It's only tied to that project itself. We'll come back to reimburse for those infrastructure and facilities like the fire hall, the conference facility part itself, not the dining, not the spa, not the hotel, but just the conference meeting space like what this is. Will be reimbursed. Now, there is, the Development Authority has, and this is common across the entire nation, has the ability to issue bonds without the county or the Development Authority being guaranteed on those. We have not decided to go that way. That's a tool. We're trying to figure out the best way to go at this moment. But there is a potential, and I'll give you an example. Like if a Covenant College, a private institution, wanted to issue money to do something for debt, they would issue a bond. So a bond is just a legal instrument or a loan that can be issued on behalf of the private investment itself and only relies on the private investment to repay it. It can't go collect from other places. So there's no upfront money coming, and if they did issue that bond, the only source of repayment for that bond, per our pledge, would be from the project success itself. That would be it.
But you're saying that you borrow the money up front.
We provide that money. We provide that money. We're not borrowing it we're not borrowing it from the county. The Development Authority is not borrowing that money. We give them that money to get back to us that we can then get back. It's a technical issue, but we're providing all of that money up front. We're providing, it's all that money's coming from private dollars. The county is not giving us any money up front. So.
But who guarantees the bond? Usually it's the government.
They are not. I'm guaranteeing you they are not. Yes, sir.
There are no bonds.
The bonds that you're talking about, there's a big difference between a revenue bond and a general purpose bond. What the development authorities across the state have the ability to do is match make lenders with customers. In this case, basically, you've got a customer and you have lenders. The development authority, when you enter into an abatement agreement, has control of the property, not to operate it. Simple. Through a revenue bond, we match make lenders that want to do business with them. But neither the county nor the development authority takes upon any ownership of the property nor any obligation to it at all whatsoever. And if you want to see more about it, just look at the difference of a revenue bond and a general purpose bond. This is could be a revenue bond where we're matchmaking lending institutions with a prospective borrower. I do want to say one more thing again. The county and the development authority are putting $0 into this project nor guaranteeing any dollars whatsoever, period.
Dwayne, do you own the golf course now?
I do not own the golf course. We just exercised our option to buy the golf course. I own the 40 acres that the hotel's going to go on itself, and we own a few lots within there already, and then we own about 435 acres, half of it belonging to a trust now, but we have 435 acres that a lot of it's in Walker County, some of it's in Dade as well. We just exercised the option to buy the golf course, and we'll be purchasing the golf course and the remaining lots within Walker County before the end of the summer. My investors would not let me make that commitment until we got to a point that everything made sense to move forward.
I have a two-part question. When you start to plan to break ground, and when you plan to finish it, and then two, the fire station, would it be on your property or county property, would it be funded, maintained 24 hours a day at county expense or yours?
If I leave out a part of that, I'll look up here. If I leave out a part, remind me, I'm not doing it intentionally. So let's address the fire station first. We will be donating the land out of a portion of ours, some of it's on the highway, to put the fire station on to the county. So the county will end up owning that when it's done. We're going to build a facility ourselves and give it to the county. Now, with the other property taxes and other things that we anticipate to raise, and some other taxes that aren't even projected in here, plus agreements that I understand the Commissioner can address with Day County, there's going to be the opportunity. We can't hire and pay for the fire staff up there. It needs to be a government agency. So once all of this is going, the taxes that we anticipate coming from this will more than offset the cost of them being there, and it's going to service that whole area and allow everybody in that area's tax insurance rates to go down. So that part of it, and I know I left out something. Break ground. So planning and actual doing it are two different things, but we're very close in the process right now with the financing already happening. The contractor's already lined up, the designer's already done work, everything's lined up. All we have to do is get our hard commitment from the financing group, and we're releasing everything to move forward. They're already working on it. We have one that's told us that we can expect that very soon. Whenever we get that, we'll turn loose. I'm planning on, before the end of the summer or fall, having that, turning it loose. It would probably take another 6 to 7 months to finish the design, studies, everything else to break ground. So I would say about this time next year, a little earlier, and then it'll be 2 years to fully build and staff and have it operational. So I would project ballpark opening in 3 years from today. Now, there's sales tax coming in off that construction money that I told you. When we're buying materials and stone and everything, you're going to have sales tax coming in during that time. I think property values are going to start going up. The county's going to start making money before we make money. So that's a positive. Now, even if it doesn't happen in that time frame, we've been in this for a long haul. I started on this thing almost 10 years ago. Now that we are where we are, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to see this through. We do appreciate any support and prayers along the way, but we've been pretty persistent and persevering and patient on this. We don't have any plans to change that.
Let me talk and expand a little bit on the fire station. Many of you know that are from that area. We have a fire station in Hinkle that there was a little over $1 million spent on this, not completed. Our goal is to try to get the funding in place to complete that operation and make that fire hall a full-time staff facility in the coming months. And also our goal is to have full-time staff once this project is developed. We feel like the amount of people and it being a 24-hour facility and all the activities going on there, we're going to need that fire and emergency medical services there on site. Plus we feel like it will honor our obligations to this project that we're committed to be able to get both of those fire halls in place and get both of them staffed full-time and put them into our network of services through our emergency management.
I have another question.
Yes.
But along that period, we be getting $16,000. How much is it going to cost us to operate those two stations, or that one station, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
I don't have those exact numbers, but that's what we're working on right now to even finish the Hinkle project. We've been approached by some private people that want to help get these projects going because they see how much it's going to save them in their fire costs and to have that extra protection. So all of these things have got to be worked out in our budget and in looking at the analysis of revenue that's coming in. But we'll have funding coming through this development of this project in order to cover those new costs.
Yes. I can guarantee you right now, no money is going to come from the county to even put those staff that fire station. I will say that, that's our pledge, and that's this other part. But there is opportunity for it to be volunteer before we get up and fully operational and require it, and until the funds are there. So, I mean, however it's worked out, whether it's sales tax coming from the construction activities up there, new houses starting to be built, and construction sales tax on that, or whatever else it is, it's going to be monies that are generated from that area, or even the special tax district, if we have to figure out a way to get some back to the county. It's going to come from new dollars, not from existing dollars to do that. So that will honor our pledge. The details of that exactly coming out, we just cannot answer today.
I just had a statement today. I'm excited about this. I wish we were having grand opening tomorrow. But it's not only just going to help the county. It's going to help our cities like Lafayette and Chickamauga and Russell, because we have a lot of history in this area. And once you get those people up there, they're going to be coming down and doing some sightseeing and stuff. So we get our county cleaned up. You know, I think it's going to help everybody.
Thank you. We completely agree.
You mentioned that you bought the golf course already, or exercised the right by the golf course, and I was wondering what's going to happen to the private-public status of the golf course.
At some point in time, I don't know I cannot say today that you'll ever be able to come on to Canyon Ridge and play if you're not staying at the hotel. I've got to have a lot of conversations with the operator. We'd like to maybe, at Augusta, they open it up to people around the area at certain times of the year. We may have certain times of the year that we can have it open to the, if somebody from Walker County wants to do it. We want to do things that we can offer back to the community to participate and enjoy this as well. I want to do that already without anyone twisting my arm. So we're going to be thoughtful and try to figure out how we can do that. But there's probably going to be some point in time that the demand on the hotel use and the residents that already have membership and right to that membership are going to be filling up the use on that golf course for, definitely the most demanding times in season and playing for the day.
Been a long time ago. A couple of comments and then a question, Commissioner. Number one, thank you for the transparency that we have seen with this issue that we never would have seen 2 or 3 years ago. We appreciate that. And I know you've done some flack from some within your own party. I guess, I'm not going to get into the weeds about the numbers and that's to be argued about and whatever. And again, thanks for the transparency that is happening, that we will have that transparency. I guess my question, though, would be, my concern has been, are we painting ourselves potentially in an economic box in that a company XYZ comes up and says, well, I want to relocate Walker County, but I don't want to pay taxes for 5 years and after that I want 90%. Now, I can understand why you're doing this now, and again, thanks for this meeting. Because, my God, you're paying for it all, or trying to over time. That's good. My eyes are opening on that. But, and it's my understanding, Commissioner, that perhaps you have said something to the effect that, well, we would not do this with any other company unless it's sales tax related. Is that it? Or, again, I'm just afraid that perhaps you're opening yourself up to potential problems with the companies down the road.
Let Roger speak first, and then I'll follow up with that.
Thank you.
I think that's a great question, and of course that kind of thing has to be thought through when you're doing development authority and recruitment. You have to think through that stuff, and are you setting precedent that you're not prepared to back up in the future? And in this case, a 30-year abatement plan is a long plan. It is a long plan. However, a project like this, when you're getting into over $100 million and you have a very unusual opportunity to generate retail tax dollars, I'm never going to make excuses for us as a county, but the truth is, it is very difficult for us to generate high retail tax dollar investment into Walker County, and you all know why. Because there's no interstate. These people that want to build something that generates retail sales, they want interstate traffic, and we don't have it. So we have a unique opportunity with this project that is projected to generate $22 million of retail sales each year. So when you get this kind of a project, typically what municipalities do, of course the abatements are a guarantee for any investment anywhere in this country, of any significant investment. That's the ante to get to the table to start trying to win an investment in your community. The abatement is a given. 30 years is not a given, but abatements are a given in development. So what typically happens is the prospect comes to the development authority, and you would be shocked at how many people come through there constantly kicking the tires. Hey, we might do this, we might do this, we might. And of course, in this business, it's a business of no, 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 maybe, maybe, no, no, and then yes. Every now and then the right thing comes along that you can say yes to. Normally you are giving a big investment like this, you're giving them land, you're building out infrastructure, and of course they came and would want that. We don't have it. So what we had to give is a long abatement period in which we don't have to spend money. We're just deferring the benefits that will come to us later. We're having to defer it. Typical abatement would be 10 years. This is 30 years. But remember, we're giving them nothing. If they went to Asheville, North Carolina tomorrow to shop this plan, they'd throw the whole city at them. So I believe in it. I think that the plan and the incentive that we put before them is attractive, and I hope the project is successful. Does that answer?
Let me add some additional comments and thoughts to that. From all indications, from what I can tell in research and looking back in records, this is most likely the largest single investment that's ever been made in Walker County at a single time. There's been other manufacturers and things that I'm sure that have, over an extended period of time, have probably invested well over $100 million in infrastructure and equipment and things. But as far as getting anyone at any level, any type of industry, to come in and bring $100 million of investment at one time that will instantly create sales tax dollars and bring jobs, I don't think it's ever been done before. And if somebody knows of something, please let me know so I can be corrected on that. Robert and I have also been working with another company that's much smaller, but it is also a several $million investment in some infrastructure and land and all on another project that they tell us that they are moving forward with. And so when we met with them, our question is, how much sales tax are you creating? What's your sales numbers? Well, what we do is not going to create a retail sales tax. How many jobs are you creating? It's going to be probably 5 or less. Their abatement will be 0. So everything has to be stood on its own merit. And so any company that can come in and create manufacturing, the jobs are great. But we have manufacturers in our county now that we love and we don't you know, we want to keep them here, they bring value to our community, but they generate no sales tax. So those companies that can come and maximize both and bring the largest investment into our community is going to get our very, very best deal that we can offer. What was requested originally was 40 years at 100%. And so we were able to work through that, again, to create an environment to still create a win for the developer and also a win for the county. So we had to work through that together with this team to be able to illustrate and for them to work their numbers where we could get down to the 30 years at the 90% on the last 25 years.
Man, I want to add just a couple other comments because I think it's a great question I want to share. I came in before crunching all the final numbers. I did come in and ask for 40 for what we're doing. And they pushed back. It took a lot longer to negotiate this agreement that we have than I was anticipating. These guys were not pushovers. They were representing you very well, and the legal side equally so. But it's not, manufacturing is not just the retail dollars. You also have, when you bring manufacturing, you're usually not raising property values like what we're talking about doing either. So to have something that's going to pay the property values, still the portion that we're paying on the abatement, fund all the infrastructure up front, raise property values on lots that are already created there, and generate the retail sales. If you set the hurdle and everybody remembered why this is being done, if somebody else comes with you at the same deal, I would vote for that to happen if I was here. So I just don't think there's going to be that many opportunities to raise taxes across the board and for it to work like that. So, because we're not able to put any of those public dollars back into work that's coming from those other properties that are going to be owned by residents. That has to go to general fund or education or something else. So, last thing, this is a big one. The Tourism Development Act, the state of Georgia just approved one in LaGrange, Georgia. You talk about in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of nowhere. They approved the tax abatement. I think it was well over 100 million. It may be closer to 200. Don't hold me to it. To do a water park resort that's with a group out of Ohio that has a few other ones. To get that project, not only did the state give all of their sales tax back for that 10 years, the municipalities did too. So we're not getting the sales. I will tell you this, and I'm not trying to lift ourselves up. My own attorneys that represented that deal as well, that were representing us, told me to ask for it, and I said I wasn't going to do it because it was contrary to what I'd already talked to the commissioner about. But they did. So Walker County is already getting something better than what other communities across the state are getting on similar type projects like that. So.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. One, the lady up here mentioned the bonds. Are you, I guess this would be from Mr. Wardlaw, but are you saying that there will absolutely be no bonds issued for this project, or is that something, a possibility? And if so, will the public be kept abreast of that? Because I do know that bonds have to be backed by somebody. You don't just have bonds floating around that some government entity doesn't back.
Yes, sir.
I've spent too many years working for the city of Chickamauga. I know how it works. So I have a question about the bonds, to be sure. And the second question, Hal, is we talked about the infrastructure on the mountain up there. And it's my understanding that those water and sewer lines belong to Dade County. Now, are we going to in some way finance adding on to the infrastructure that already belongs to Dade County, and at some point in time we're going to have to either give them to Dade County, or I think we still owe Dade County for that infrastructure up there that's up there. So this was in the paper. There you can Google it. Ted Rumley is the guy over there, and I've heard. Oddly enough, Dade County has been really silent about this whole thing. I think it's a high coincidence that they're paving from the Walker County line down to Trenton. You know, I'm sure they had nothing to do with this project, maybe. But I do have those questions. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. The project, the investors themselves can finance, of course, however they choose, because it's a private investment. We really have no role in that. The Development Authority is available to match make with bond issuers on their behalf, but that's not the Development Authority. We certainly don't have, the Development Authority's got roughly $500,000. The Development Authority does not have any ability to issue bonds. It's a vehicle that facilitates the issue of bonds between whatever lending institutions they should choose to work with. But the Development Authority is the vehicle through which they can do that. But those are pure revenue bonds. Nothing to do with the Development Authority issuing them or selling them or having any obligation to them.
Sir, I'm not a bond attorney, and I'm not a bond underwriter or bond counsel, but I did deal with this for many, many years and had to defend it at trial, and it was a given at trial. I can tell you this. The other side conceded that you can issue bonds without the county being on the hook, or the citizens, or anybody being on the hook for the repayment of those. The sole repayment would be the project itself, and the land that we're giving to the Development Authority could be taken back from the Development Authority, but if that happens, the abatement's gone and you're collecting 100% of property tax at that point in time. So it's if you lose, you win. I mean, it's a great scenario from that standpoint. It would be my suggestion, based on that question and others, that I know for a fact the law firm that they're using can issue a white paper to say the same thing and put that law firm's name on it, and they can issue it on the Walker County website or wherever you want. I guarantee you this is the case. It's done all the time on projects. As far as the infrastructure is concerned, you're correct. Dade County put in those utilities. You're also correct that now the sewer was put in with private dollars. Dade County now operates it rather than Walker County. But utilities are really a liability. You don't make money usually off the utilities. The power board does, maybe water does a little bit. The sewer you do not. It's not. Now Dade County, I'm going to say this, and Dade County may come running and say, Walker County, you take it over with that question and this answer. But when we have those utilities, it raises our property values in Walker County for more money to come into Walker County. It allows us to generate these sales tax dollars. So even if we use our privately funded money to improve these utilities, they're not making money off of those utilities. You can go ask Dade County. I've seen the numbers. They're losing money on sewer. They make a little bit on water, and it usually offsets just enough. And I've studied this for a long time there, and with what I did at Browwood, I did the same thing. We built the sewer and handed it back over. Nobody wanted it, and we had to give them a deal to take it back. So this is a requirement to get it in, and it's a fractional cost of the overall cost of this entire project and the benefits that go along with it for both sides.
Expand on that a little bit more. Tell y'all a little story. When I first was working with Dwayne on this, about the 5th or 6th time that I shared with him over the course of several meetings that we're broke and we don't have any money and we can't invest in this. And I told him, I said, look, if you can at least go out there and raise $105 million, and you get within $1 million of this project being a go, your project just failed. We don't have not $1 million, we don't have $500,000, we don't have any money, we can't back anything. So sometimes you got to laugh about things to keep from crying. It was kind of one of those moments when Dwayne said, hey, the last thing I want is the county balance sheet at the table of this deal, because it's going to cause me problems, and it's going to cause the interest rates to be higher, and it's going to make it more difficult for me to get the project funded if your balance sheet is in the game. So we said that kind of jokingly, but it's the solid truth. You mentioned Mr. Ted Rumley, who I have recently got to know and speak to often, and I called him probably about a week after this hit the paper and said, hey, did you see that the Canyon Ridge project's moving forward? He was very excited about the project because it does border Dade County, and they see the potential positive impact that it's going to have on their county. Also earlier, Jason Winters, Sole Commissioner of Chattooga County, was here, which this is not that far from the Chattooga County line. He's also 100% supportive and behind this project, and I guess he had to leave out for some other business matters, but both of the county governments in both Dade and Chattooga County, both I've personally spoken with, and they're both very, very excited. You mentioned that the road from Walker County through Dade County, is that Highway 136? Okay. I'll need to be sure and thank whoever was responsible for that. But from what little experience I've had working with the DOT, they don't do anything quickly. And all of their money and their budgeting is on projects that are 3, 5, 6 years out. So I would just be about willing to bet lunch that their involvement of getting 136 paid probably started at least 3 years ago. Because I know that road has been in bad shape for a long, long time. And so I'm sure there's been a lot of push to get that road resurfaced. So maybe it's a God thing that it's happening now, but I think I wouldn't say that anybody would have any influence to make something like that happen on a project that's going to take 2 to 3 years to get developed.
Be careful, because there's about a 3-inch drop off in the Walker County line.
Oh, that's definitely.
Yeah.
I can tell you that side of the mountain, because I drive it frequently, there's more erosion on that side of the mountain. Robin, you can testify to that probably. There's more water that runs off that side of the mountain than there does on the Walker County side, from the Lookout Mountain. More water.
Speaking of those roads up there, those are state highways, 157 and 136, and one of the things that we're going to be advocates for and pushing for is both of those roads, as they stand today with the current residential traffic and people going to the state park and all, we need more guardrails on those roads today. If this project never happens, the guardrails, there's a lot of places there that if you go off the road, we may not find you for several weeks. So we're going to be advocating with the DOT, and hopefully this project will spark them to say, hey, we're going to have a few more cars up here, we need more guardrails, and hopefully we can get that built into their budget over the next 2 or 3 years before this thing is completed, to get guardrails up and down 136 and 157.
Mr. Horton, you had mentioned Monday night you were going to bring a satellite view topo.
Do you have the laser? Sharon, I was going to bring a site plan that we prepared that showed the setback lines. I don't recall saying satellite, I apologize. We added this. This was not in our plan on Monday night. And this shows the brow edge here and how far back the hotel is sitting from the brow edge, plus these other aspects of it and where the line is. So this is a slide that was not in our presentation on Monday that we added, and I can get with you and get a satellite overlay of this if you would like to see that. So I'd be happy to do that.
I would appreciate that a lot. I'm assuming this building is going to be LEED certified.
I would like for it to be. That has not been decided. I will tell you this, it's going to be LEED compliant. We're going to have LEDs. We're going to have the most efficient energy systems. If there's ever a time, I'll tell you this, great, that's a really good question. Many of the other ones are as well. But technically speaking, LEED is leadership in energy and environmental design. It's making something energy efficient and sustainable. We did it without any incentives. We did the very first, as Gentech Construction, the very first LEED certified project in Tennessee and in this region. Not Tennessee, in Chattanooga and in this region. And it was gold certified. The cost of getting it certified is so expensive and so ridiculous we can build to those same standards without being certified. Now, at a project this size, I would like to see it just go ahead and get certified as we can. A lot of conferences want to know, a lot of businesses that want to know one of the checklists on their items or leave. So I'm not going to guarantee it, but I can just about certainly tell you I'm confident it will be when it's said and done.
Well, the reason I asked, you mentioned that you had environmental studies done, which I'm sure you have. What standard did they measure the light? I'm still concerned about this light thing. And, you know, is it going to be compliant with, you know, the U.S. Green Building Standard, that type of
I will guarantee it'll be dark sky compliant. It's called dark sky.
And also sky glow is another term.
Okay.
Dark sky and sky glow.
Well, dark sky is the compliance I'm aware of that requires no reflective light, ambient light to really leave the site. You're down lighting, low lighting, and lighting the site for itself. And people are going to come here for the natural beauty. We want them to be able to see the stars from here.
You can see the Milky Way down there now.
Exactly.
We want to make sure we can continue to see it.
I grew up here, so I agree and look at that as well. So we're going to do everything. We're going to be dark sky compliant. I guarantee you. I will guarantee that part. And I'm confident we'll be LEED certified when it's all said and done.
What's that property zone up there?
I really don't know what the zoning is today. It's, you know, we went through it the last time. I can't recall the final zoning, but we previously had things worked out for this to move forward. But I would anticipate with everybody that's been involved that final zoning of that piece won't be an issue. So
that's important. We need to know that's important.
No, it is. It is important. So I just can't.
The low property tax you're paying now would suggest an agricultural zone, would it not?
Let me back up. I couldn't recall quick enough. The whole property is in a PUD zone that did allow for a hotel. So when I was thinking about this site specific, the entire site's in a planned urban development plan, and which allows for the project to go forward because it had been planned for several years, and it's already zoned that way, sir.
Has it been zoned that way for a good long while?
Yes, sir. As far as I'm aware, from the beginning of the project, that's why zoning. I couldn't ever recall it coming up, and I had to think back many years. But that's not even something that came up in court. But it is zoned PUD. You can go look on the county website, and it's recorded that way.
Okay. Commissioner, you predicted the land values of the property up at the development right now are going to go up. What are you predicting for the property in the valley?
I think you're going to have people trying to buy it from you.
Based on what?
This development and the focus and the attention that's going to be brought to this community. I think you're going to have people. There was a guy that was here Monday night that came to my office last week. Said there's already been people out of Texas that come and walked on his front lawn trying to buy his property. It's 3.5 miles. So I'm really surprised you haven't already had people trying to contact you.
No, not yet.
Yet, I think is the important key word.
Potentially, I have a lot of questions. Right now, I have this comment. First of all, I want to say that I am adamantly opposed to the entire project. I have been since its inception in 1998 or 99, whichever it was. First of all, I've lived on Lookout Mountain almost my entire life. I've lived up there since 1971 when I was 14 years old is when I moved there. My dad was born and raised on Lookout Mountain, very near this property, back in the 30s. In my opinion, that property, yes, you're right about the mountain being naturally beautiful. That's the reason that I moved there and still chose to live there right now. In my opinion, that property has been molested. Thousands of trees have been cut down. Hills have been removed and placed in other places. There's a large water reservoir right along the edge of Highway 157 that they took all the dirt out, moved it, and built up an area and built condominiums on it, which at one time those condominiums, if I'm not mistaken, were condemned because they were built on land or a site that was not properly compacted. All for the sake of people that have money to come and hit a little white golf ball around into a hole. I live almost directly across from this water and sewage treatment facility. I can go out there at night, when it's supposed used to be quiet, you hear the whippoorwills, in the woods, or a big hoot owl or something. Now I can hear the roar of it's not really a roar, it's not really loud, but it's obvious that there's pumps running all the time. And you can also at times smell a faint smell of chemicals in the air, whatever they used to treat the sewage with. I hear a lot of people are all for this project, but they don't live right across the road from it. They don't have to smell this, they don't have to hear this noise continually. Whenever they start building this thing, they're talking about 2,000 people coming up there working in this quaint area. You're talking about 2,000 people, maybe more, going and coming every day on this quaint highway. And that's just getting started. Like I said, I have a lot of questions I could ask. But until you were living there, like I am, to be there in my shoes, looking at it from my perspective, you wouldn't understand. Most of these developers, all they are concerned with is money. Have, dollar signs. I can say a lot more, but I won't. But hopefully you understand that there are some people that are opposed to it, whether they'll admit to it or not. And like I say, it makes a big difference whether you live close by or not. And speaking of your property values increasing, your property values increase, so do your taxes. And I don't hear anything about selling my property. I moved there because I love the mountain.
I want to say I appreciate you coming tonight and voicing your concerns, and they're very well taken. I will say that at the public forums that we've had, the community involvement that I've been up there in that area, the number of phone calls that I've received, the number of people that have come to my office, you are the first local citizen up there that has approached me in any form and has told me that they're against the project. And I'm sure there probably are some others. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there probably are some others. And if they are, I'd like to hear from them.
There's such a small percentage that live there.
I'd like to hear what those concerns are and see how we can work together. If we can't, communicate and work together, then that nothing will ever get changed or anything to considerations.
It's been my experience, and there's even been movies made about it, when these big developers come in and try to cram things down people's throats that have lived in these areas for years. And they come in and they're going to do what they're going to do. And usually the government is, in with them, the local government. They're in bed together.
Good. Wonderful. I do understand that a lot of what happened was well before I was involved. I did not get involved in this until 2007 when the sewer package plant was already there. I wasn't even aware that the place even existed until close to that same time frame, 2006 or 2007 is the first time I was even aware that a lot of what you had mentioned had already occurred. I have been served a lot of land personally and through businesses, Part of our vision is to protect land and build projects that work within them. You're correct. A lot of developers do bad development. And we are doing our absolute best. You can go to our website, you can go to our other projects. We're doing our absolute best to bring harmony and repair a lot of the atrocities that you are speaking of. We want to shield and screen that sewer package plant with evergreens that will help with noise and visual reduction. We want to put screens around it. We want that noise to go away as much as you do. The hotel and anything with that is going to be off the brow and below the brow line from where you're speaking of. And I don't know how many acres, you have acres of land, or is it? I mean, there are tools. I don't like property taxes. I personally hate property taxes. I wish there was some other way to do it. I don't have that decision. It was made a long time before I'm involved. But I do know that there's tools that when property values do increase, and you have land such as yours that I imagine, there's opportunities to file that as a green belt, and I think in Georgia it's called a conservation easement. You can even file federal conservation easements on it. And I can't advise you on that. I'm just letting you know there's tools that we've utilized on land that we wanted to protect permanently. We've donated some to trust, and a project like this can generate the revenues to then help sustain and correct a lot of the issues that you're talking about. And a lot of these, if you would please look at what we brought up here, I am on your side to heal this place as best as it can and generate economic development in the best way possible for this county. And the investors that we're bringing to the table are responsible. I could go out and bring other investors. There are local responsible people that want to reinvest in the community for proper development because they grew up here. Many of them grew up on Lookout Mountain. I grew up at the bottom of it. I'm back here because I love the natural characteristics of what's here. And we are going to do our best, and we're bringing a team together that are experts and nationally renowned for making this project the best it can be.
Can I make another comment about your dark sky, wherever you were referring to? Right now, there's night lights all over the property, lighting the streets everywhere. Used to, like you're talking about being able to see the night sky. Sure, you can see it better than if you're standing on a downtown street in Chattanooga somewhere, or in one of the outlying areas, or Oak or somewhere, But it's nothing like it used to be because of all those lights. They still cast a shadow up, and you have a lot of fog on Lookout Mountain. And when it's lightly foggy or whatever, and those lights shining up, it lights up the entire, southern sky, from my perspective.
And I completely agree with you. Those light fixtures that are in there, I wish I had a picture of them. They're the worst light fixtures in the world for what they're doing. And I have a board member that has made it his personal goal to get every one of those tore down the day we get this property purchased and put in lights that are compliant with what we're talking about and bring that lighting down. The lights he's talking about are literally on a 4x4 or 6x6 posts that aren't even staying, and they're a globe that sits on with no downlighting apparatus to them, and they glow up in a horrible way. They're going to be the first things out the door as soon as we can figure out a way to do it. So I agree with what you're saying on all parts. So I just want to make that we can leave it the way it is, which isn't ideal from what you're saying, or we can figure out a way to make it better that works for everybody, and I just want to do the best we can for that.
Yeah, this comment, I don't have a question, but Rick Bird Truck and Excavating. Question was fielded last night about would there be local jobs, and I'm here to say that with Dwayne Horton taking care of it, there definitely will be. He's a friend of Walker County contractors there. David Carlock did the project out there for you, and Nate McClure and Mike McClure, they've done a lot of work out there. I've done a lot of work out there at your West Fire project, and there's just several different ones. You're a friend of the contractor. They've already on your list, and I'm here today, with you
leading the project there. There will be project. If there's an availability, there will be a project. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much.
He is not the only one that is 100% adamantly opposed to this. I was born on Lookout Mountain, not in a hospital, not in a clinic. I was born in my grandparents' house on Lookout Mountain 25 years ago in 1992. And growing up as a boy, I remember seeing deer playing in my backyard. I could go outside at night, see stars. You know, I could play in the road without ever having to worry about seeing a car. I wouldn't see a car for 2 days. Ever since, all these land developers, I don't care who you are, I have family that are in realty, and either way, I stand where I stand. There is no amount of money on God's green earth that would make me turn from my ideals. The reason no one else has came up to oppose this is part of the reason that there's a problem in this country to begin with. Because honestly, most people are gutless. And you know what? They just want to go with the flow and not ever oppose anything. Well, you can see where that's got us. And on top of that, you're talking about widening the roads. It's already hard enough for me to go. I work in Chattanooga. I don't mind driving an hour to work every day to conserve the mountain. You could give me $1 million a year to work across the street, and I wouldn't do it. Just for the fact of, I don't mind making a sacrifice to save the land that I love. And anybody else, you know, you have your opinions or whatever, I know. I've lived there my entire life, 25 years, directly across the street. It's the same thing. You can go out at night. I can't even sleep with my window open without hearing a pump running or smelling chemicals. I can't go out and look at the night sky. All I see is a hideous glow. And, you know, it's just, it's like you said, there's a lot more I could say, but the bottom line is that just because certain people are for this, not everyone is. There are people out there that probably are very opposed, but they don't have the guts to say anything. And whether the case may be why they do or don't have the guts, I'm standing here in place of them as they're standing. And like I said, I could say a lot more, but I won't. I just wanted to let you know that he is not the only one that is absolutely opposed to this. I think it's a terrible idea. I think there's already too many people out there. There's going to be even more. What about people who are going to want to come in? You're talking about people buying land. Yeah, other people are going to want to buy land and further develop it and build stores. Before you know it, we'll have a strip mall up there that caters to the people staying in the hotel. That's more revenue for the county, I know, because y'all are all about the money. But secondly, here we're going to have to deal with more people. The crime rate is obviously going to go up. You know, you got people coming out here, the more retail there is, you have more people coming out there that are obviously going to want to take advantage of that, to break in, whatever the case may be. There's literally hundreds of reasons why this is a terrible idea. And I know it's all about the money for y'all, but other than that, for someone who, honestly, money has no value to me. There are things better in this world than money. Because one day, you know, it's all going to be gone, and why? It's just, anyways, bottom line, I'm opposed to it, and there are better things in life than money. And hopefully, maybe you or whoever else might be listening will one day be able to realize that. And, you know, stop stepping on other people's necks to get where you want with your money. And, you know, greed is, it's like the Bible says, it's the root of all evil. And I'm sick and tired of having things crammed down my throat, and this is just one more. When I heard about this, I was absolutely torn up. Still do have a pit in my stomach, sick in my stomach about it. I didn't sleep for 2 nights and couldn't eat. Just knowing that the land that was already molested as far as it was is going to further be just destroyed from its natural state. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now.
I just have a couple of questions. The first one is, has the group of investors made any options, lease options, or purchase options on any surrounding properties for future development?
No, we have not, and I would add that the sewer package plant that's up there right now that was permitted is, there's a limited amount of capacity that it can ultimately support. It's not, it's already there, I didn't put it there. It's underutilized, it's having to use chemicals because there's not enough use there for it to operate normally. Having more use there will help the sewer package plant work better. But even if it's working better, there's only so much density that you have to have sewer to get density, otherwise you're relying on septic tanks and everything to happen. So this type of development will help use up, in a limited footprint, help use up that sewer capacity so that it can't be extended to other property and have further development in the area, which is why we don't have any other lease agreements, any arrangements, or anything going on with any other landowners up there at this time. We've got enough land ourselves that we don't need any additional land.
Second question. On this abatement over a 30-year period of time, which who knows what that would ultimately be worth, 30, 40, or maybe even more millions of dollars. My question is, at some point down the road, maybe in just a few years, there becomes a crunch where maybe you need some cash. Will you have the ability through this agreement to sell that abatement to a third party?
Not sell the abatement. I can sell the land and transfer the abatement if we needed to, but I can't sell the abatement itself, per my understanding. If I'll go and look into that, try to answer that question, but if it comes up different, I will let everyone know. But to my understanding, it's with the property and it can be transferred. You can't sell it, for my understanding.
I think this has been mentioned several times, but land house values are established by sales. So it's like a ripple effect. Property values go up there and they'll go out all over the county. And I'm all for that.
Well, thank you. I do, but what's hard to predict this is the sewer adds a lot of value and it's already there. I would not have put it there, but it's there and it's going to be there because people are depending on it now. But that sewer is going to be an exponential factor. I don't personally think, others may have other opinions and I can't prove it. I don't see, property values will do better. It should help the whole county, but they're not going to double and increase like it will where the sewer capacity is for people to be able to utilize that, in my opinion. But I do believe property values will go up if people want to work together and have that happen. It's Canyon Ridge Resort without an S.com. www.canyonridgeresort.com. It will probably take us a week, if not maybe a little longer, to process through all of these FAQs. When they are done, we'll post them on the county's Facebook page. We'll put them on ours and we'll distribute that as much as possible. But we had a whole list of questions for Monday night. We wanted to get tonight. We got some other deadlines too, but we're going to take everything we have and a lot of these, some of them were redundant questions from the other night, so we'll probably have answers. And when you see your question up there, it may say, you may be like question 35, see answer 1, because answer 1 may answer a lot of them. But we are going to go through those and make sure we address the questions that we've heard.
I just want to say I'm opposed to it also. I agree with him back there. I just don't think what you're doing is right. I mean, I live right below where you're building that thing, and I do not want to see it. I mean, it literally, like he said, it upset me when I read about it. And I know there's nothing I can really do about it, but I'm totally opposed to it.
Okay, I know we've had y'all here a long time tonight. I appreciate each of you coming. We'll be around if you have any other questions for us. Thank you for being here again. I hope you have a safe travel home. Good night.